talking about 3 ways I built a millionaire network. For some of you on YouTube and Facebook, this is going to be backwards, but I'm doing it on Instagram now. What's up, Instagram Live? 3 ways I built. I'll finish the sentence. Here we go. Yeah, just do your best. Okay. If it's upside down, deal with it. You'll be all right. 3 ways I built a millionaire social network. If that's backwards for you, good. This is an IQ test. See if you can reverse it in your brain. There was a president of the United States that could write with both hands, right and left, at the same time. So if you're smart enough, you can read what this says. If you're stupid, you're gonna write me, I can't read this. So that's my answer to all of you who are easily confused. Let me tell you something about making money. If you're a person who often says the phrases, I'm confused, I got bad news for you. Don't fucking say that phrase. Really. But you're an idiot. Be careful the words you say. You will become the words you say. You know what I'm saying? So if you always walk around, oh, I'm so confused. I'm like, well, hide that shit. My mentor used to tell me, if you do something stupid, it's okay to be transparent, but you don't have to go, bask in your own stupidity all the time. Okay, I'm gonna have you do Twitter. Twitter, of course, is the weirdest way to go live. They put it in the photo. So yeah, a little pre-show before I get into this. Those of you who say, I'm confused a lot, I would never bet on you to ever make any money in your life. The people who make money and succeed whatever you want are the people who unconfuse themselves. We live in a world that's called learned helplessness. A famous scientist, Martin Seligman, he is a professor at, I think he's at one of the Ivy League schools. He says most humans live in a box and are trapped, but the box actually, the prison gate is open, but people stay in prison. You gotta turn it around. What's up, everybody? People live in a prison of their own making. It's pretty insane, the world we live in. So, if you're confused by reading this, good. You should get off my stream because you ain't gonna be able to be helped by the rest of the stuff I'm gonna say. Can't help stupid, just so y'all know. It's like if you're at the gym and somebody walks in and they're lazy. And they're like, I wanna get in good shape. Can't help lazy. Lazy's out, go out the other door. You'd be traumatized. 3 ways I built a millionaire social network when I was starting out, by the way, okay? For those of you just joining, my name's Tai Lopez. You may have seen me on social media, or maybe not. Somebody wrote, this guy used to be good. I used to be good, damn it. That's my claim to fame. I haven't been on social media that much, but it doesn't mean it's because I fell off. Sometimes people go, this dude fell off. I'm like, bitch, I came back stronger than ever before. You just don't know because you don't Google. Go Google Tai Lopez Retail E-Commerce Ventures. That's what I've been doing in the last 2 years while y'all were just sliding through your TikTok reels, getting entertained like mindless suckers. I was buying big brands. I bought Pier 1 Imports. It's doing $1.7 billion. I bought it last year. I bought Radio Shack from a billionaire. He's a business partner. I bought Steinmart, which is a 100-year-old brand that did $1 billion in revenue last year. I bought Ralph and Russo. It's a top 30 luxury brand. It's the only English brand to be considered an actual haute couture fashion brand. I bought that with a billionaire too. He owns 10%. I own the rest. Me and my business partner own the rest. And we have an investor group. What else have I been doing? I have 23 companies that I run, or assets. Bought 1,200 acres of farmland that I turned from chemical farms into organic farms. So, I did fall off from doing a lot of these lives, but who gives a shit? Don't ever be judging who you listen to by how often they're on their social media. I used to be able to have more time, but there's levels to the game, my friend. There's levels to the game. But I do like sharing because people shared with me when I was starting and it helped change my life, you know? So this is me giving back, you could say. So let's jump into this. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. That's all people really care about. I just pivoted Franklin Mint, a brand that I bought, and Radio Shack into also an NFT crypto platform. We're just starting, so lots of stuff. By the way, when did I tell motherfuckers to buy Bitcoin? A lot of people gave me shit. Tai Lopez called the top. Bitch, I called Bitcoin in August 2017. I started streaming. It was at $3,000. What was it the other day? 66,000. All you stupid fuck Reddit motherfuckers that give me shit. Too stupid. You should have listened to me. Did I not tell you? ETH was at 200 bucks. Bing bong. Who's a cynic? I stomp on my cynics, but then I remind them of the pain of not listening to me. And not just me, there's a lot of people that were calling it. But I have the YouTube video that's the most watched on crypto in history. So, and nobody can say, oh, Tai Lopez didn't tell anybody. I don't call the top, I call the bottom. What are you talking about? I call the top? Do you not know math? 3,000, 66,000. What's ETH at right now? I call it at 200 bucks. Let's go. Hello world. It's time to be back on planet Earth. I've been too busy to smack people around a little bit that like to talk shit. I went into Reddit the other day and there's like, all that stuff now is whether I'm on steroids. I'm like, I ain't on steroids. If I was on steroids, I'd be jacked up bigger. People are like, tons on steroids. I'm like, stop being on Reddit. There ain't nobody strong who's on Reddit. So don't ever try to figure out who's natural and who's on steroids. Who cares? Almost every strong motherfucker is on steroids. You think The Rock is natural? You think John Cena is natural? You think Arnold Schwarzenegger was natural? Nobody's natural. You think all the pro athletes aren't on stuff? Hello. Welcome to planet Earth. You think John Jones all natural? You think all the UFC people are now natural? But, like I said, I don't want to be big. I've tried everything. I've tried anything you can do with a doctor. I don't want to get in trouble. I've tried everything. I've tried TRT, all that. People were like, he admitted he tried TRT. I'm like, yeah. I'm working on a 5-year project. I'm almost done. In the 5-year project, I'm writing a book called The $1 Million Body. I spent $1 million testing everything that you can legally get to improve your physical health. And I did about 40 blood tests. Each time was about 30 vials out of my arm. And so it's pretty interesting. Like I've tested a lot of stuff. Obviously intermittent fasting, but I like more advanced stuff than that. Every weird machine you can hook up to, all the stem cell kind of stuff. I've tried, like I said, tried TRT. For the most part, you don't need anything except discipline to get in shape. So you really want to know the discovery that I discovered after spending $1 million in 5 years? All that old school stuff was right. They were right. They were right. All you need is discipline. And if you hate your life, sometimes it has something to do with the outside forces and Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But most of all, it has to do with, well, be honest, you're a pussy, unfortunately. Unfortunately. And it might be, there's various levels. I'm not talking about physically, or wussy, I should say. It's probably not politically correct to say pussy anymore. But can you plug that in? Can I say old school words and not, is that cancelable? You say pussy? Don't be a pussy? I think it's good. The one on the left. I think it's good to tell people, yo. I was in New Zealand. I used to work shear sheep in New Zealand. And if anything happens to you in New Zealand, like you break a bone while you're working, and you're like, I need to take a break, they all say, harden up, mate. Those are a bunch of tough dudes. So ladies and gentlemen, the main finding about why your body sucks, or why you don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or your bank account's a disaster, unfortunately, it ain't the Republican or the Democratic Party. I know that's not a popular message because it's easier to just say that's some faceless, nameless moron in Congress or your president or prime minister is affecting your life, but they ain't making you fat. They didn't make you have a whole bunch of bad habits. Come on. Somebody said this is the dumbest rambling I've ever heard. It's not dumb, it's just too true. You know what Albert Einstein said? And I tell people this because sometimes people are like, Tai, you're weird. I'm like, well, Albert Einstein said, the thing about smart people is they seem weird to dumb people. The thing about smart people is they seem weird to dumb people. So whenever somebody's like, Tai, you're being weird, I'm like, it's possible you're just dumb. Tai, I don't like this rant. It's possible you're too dumb to understand the implications of listening to my words. What most of us need, including myself, is a kick in the ass every morning, at lunchtime, and at night to say, stop being so anxious. Bam, get your ass up. Stop procrastinating. So what I'm gonna teach you here, 3 ways that I built a millionaire network, doesn't matter if you have no willpower. There's 2 things. I have a mentor. He wrote a book called Willpower. It's the definitive work. It's a New York Times bestseller, but he's also a professor. I think he was a professor at Stanford. I'm not sure where he is. His name, I call him Professor Baumeister. You can Google the word willpower. He said there's 2 things that predict your life outcome. This one's not charging someone. Who knows the 2 things that predict your life outcome? In everything, happiness, wealth, love, friendship, every single area. What are the 2 things, and only 2 things that science has actually predicted? This doesn't seem to be charging. What do you think? Let's see who gets it. Anybody? Number 1 is IQ. IQ. People who really change the world have IQ. And there's different kinds of IQ. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Messi, Ronaldo, they have physical IQ. And there's Salvador Dali had, this IQ with imagery, and Picasso. But it's IQ, it's raw genius. So I got bad news and I got good news, okay? Not everybody is born a genius. Not everybody's born William Shakespeare, Johann Sebastian Bach, Nicholas Tesla, Elon Musk, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. Like, these are geniuses. But I have good news for you. Good news for you. Professor Baumeister, and you should read his book, Willpower. It's just called Willpower. So if you can't find it, you don't know how to use Google. You should give up in life if you can't find the book. Sometimes when I tell people to buy a book, they're like, well, what's it called? I'm like, read the book Willpower. Like, how do I find it? If you're too stupid to not be able to find the book Willpower by Baumeister, don't bother to read it because you're too low on the IQ part. Willpower is the second one, and willpower can be changed. IQ can't. All that shit you read about where, I'm making my baby smarter by having them listen to classical music, my ass. Maybe it'll change your IQ point by 1 point. It's not what changed your IQ. But a beautiful thing about making money, Warren Buffett says, and he's probably the best statistically at making money in our time at a risk-adjusted return level, says you only need about 120 IQ to make money. And in fact, when they did a study in the book, The $1 Million Next Door, the wealthiest people in America as a subset of millionaires did not have extremely high IQ. But they were sharp. You can't, so just to be clear, IQ doesn't have to be up here. People like Bill Gates, these are like 155 IQ in the Stanford Binet IQ test. By the way, if anybody tells you they have 185 IQ, just be like, get the fuck out of here. The Stanford Binet test stops around 150, okay? It's hard to measure, all right? It just is hard to measure. I've been in Mensa since I was young. Mensa is the high IQ. They talk all about the Stanford Binet test. So for most part, you need IQ about 120. Most rich people have about 120. But that's just a little above average. 100 is average, okay? Number 2, though, is willpower. And this, no matter how you're born, there is a genetic component to willpower and self-discipline, but it can be changed a lot. You can be here and move that thing through the roof. You see that with people who go into the military. You see that with people who are apprenticed, So whatever your IQ, somebody said, what is my IQ? I never say what my IQ is. It's not important what my IQ is. I have enough IQ to be able to be successful in life. But for me, what's gonna matter is my willpower and my discipline and my ability to hold my mind, body in check. And if you really struggle with that, then what I'm about to teach you is irrelevant, because you'll build a millionaire network and you'll ruin it all. Okay? You really will. So, somebody said, I think too much. Well, probably not. Probably I don't think enough. For those of you who think you say to other people you're thinking too much, it is possible to overthink. But that's not really thinking. What people call overthinking is actually being emotional and being paralyzed by overanalysis. That's not being logical. Logical understands something called optimal stopping. Optimal stopping means you know how much to think before you act. For example, if you spend your whole life reading books about how to make $1 million, then you're dead before you can actually implement the books. But if you spend no time searching for the keys, then you stop too soon. So there's a mathematical concept called optimal stopping. And all of you are gonna have to do that. How many people should you date before you get married? Well, if you marry the first person you date, you probably stop too soon. And if you take, if you want to get married, if that's a goal of yours, and you say, I'm gonna first date 500 people, you'll probably be too old before you find somebody. It's the same with wealth, okay? So let's go to number 1. 3 ways I built my $1 million or millionaire social network. The first thing that I did that I consider pretty important was I got out of the house, man. And I know this is like figurative, but I was busy. I tried what I call a shotgun approach. Who here has a shotgun? I have a farm. I have about 1,200 acres of farmland now. I just closed on 185 new acres farmland in Virginia. And I got a lot of guns just because on a farm, they're not necessarily to kill people, but sometimes I have bears on some of my farms that kill the pigs. We have pigs free ranging in my forests and stuff like that. So guns, and I have a couple shotguns. I have 12 gauge and I have an automatic 12 gauge. It's kind of cool. You can shoot. Yeah, I got an AR. I got all those things. I don't use them much, but shotgun approach is what I did to build my millionaire network. I just was like, I'll go to everything. Is there a seminar? Is there a conference? Is it on real estate? Is it on building a business? Is it on management? I just shotgun approach. That's your best way to start. Anything on earth. I would read any magazine, any book. Good book, New York Times bestseller, not good book. I'd watch any YouTube video, when I first started, there wasn't even, YouTube was just starting out. But I would watch videos and I wasn't picky. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a good way to start. Get out of the house, get out of your mind, stop trying to narrow it down. Just try the shotgun approach. Now, before I say too much, why do you want a millionaire network? Well, in general, and I did a TEDx talk on this called The Law of 33%, you pretty much absorb your surroundings. If you want a six-pack, best thing, if you hang around fat people, you're never gonna get a six-pack. Very rarely is there one dude with a six-pack with 20 friends that are fat. It's not that common. But I know guys that are ripped and big, and lo and behold, if you hang out with their friends, they're all pretty ripped and big. There's actual science to this. Sometimes it's called assortative matching or associative matching. It's an actual scientific concept around evolutionary mating, the mating game, but it applies to all areas of life. So the reason I wanted to build a millionaire network at the beginning is because I wanted to become a millionaire. Somebody said, Tai, I'm your son. What's up, son? You my long lost son, I don't remember, from a drunken night after a nightclub or something like that? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Tell your mother hello. Tell your mother hello. It's been a while. It's not a good sign. I can't remember her though. So I don't want to insult your mother. But if I can't remember you or her, that ain't a good sign, man. Because I know the women that I've dated in the past that were the good ones. I remember them. Anyway, so I wanted to build a millionaire network just because I understood that as a teenager that you pretty much absorb what you hang out with. And that applies to your income. So in general, you want to be one of the poorer people in your social circle, because then like osmosis, you're getting drawn up, if that makes sense. I like to get drawn up. I do that. Like even in the gym, I'm always working out with people stronger than me. I do Zoom stuff now. I train like tomorrow, leg day, Monday, I train with a woman named Becca Swanson. She's the strongest woman in history. She's in the Guinness Book of World Records. You can look her up on YouTube. She's been a friend for about 10 years. All you do is think you're strong, you're not strong. Not compared to Becca Swanson. You may think you're strong, but you ain't strong. She has a 770 deadlift and a 760 squat and a 601 bench. She had a vest for the bench, but I don't care. Try to put 601 pounds on your joints. No, don't do it, because someone's gonna get mad at me when your freaking pec rips and you destroy your elbows. But I like to work out with her because no matter what I do, I always feel like there's levels to it. And so if your social circle is on your level, you just never get challenged, Her overhead press, she didn't do overhead, but she did like 3 squats at over 700. And so I'm looking for that with money. I'm like trying to hang out with people who are just, like I went to dinner with Steve Ballmer. Now he's worth $98 billion. Back then he was worth about 40 billion. This is 3 years ago. I went to dinner with him, just me and him. And he at one point was like, he knew kind of what my business was. He's like, so how much revenue are you doing? And it's funny. Most of the time when I'm talking to entrepreneurs and they ask me my revenue, I can put my chest out and be like, well, I bet you it's more than yours. But I was thinking, this dude started Microsoft with Bill Gates and was the CEO of Microsoft for 20 years, and they're doing a couple $100 billion in revenue. So I said to him, not much, man. That's my answer. I was like, I can't tell this guy, because if it's not in the tens of billions of dollars, you look like a fool. So that's a great social circle. I wish I could be around Steve Ballmer every day. That would have made me a lot more successful in business than I am right now. So it's always the game of like the ascension game of my business social circle. Okay? So, quick questions. I'm streaming. Where's my phone? My phone's on. Take a picture of this. We got 5.
I don't have a phone.
You don't have a phone either?
Mine's
We don't have any phones. Use this one. I showed everybody how many phones I have. Where's my other bag? I have 5 phones here. 1, 2, 3, 5 there. That's 10 phones. And then I have a bag. I know Kevin Gates lives near me. And he said he has 2 phones. I'm like, that ain't shit. I got 15 phones. I think I have 15. Not that that's an important factor. It's probably stupid that I have 15 phones. But here, let me take a picture of this with phone number 14. I have 5 main phones, partly because I have a farm and my farm doesn't work. I don't have signal at all. Everybody say cheese. We have Instagram, Zoom, Twitter. Sorry, that was Facebook. That's Facebook, YouTube, Speakeasy. There you go. We're doing the 3 secrets. 3 ways I built a millionaire social network. What's up? Okay. So who's gonna shotgun their social networking? Who just does the shotgun approach? Anybody? Who here has paralysis by overanalysis? Rick does. Who here knows you should be out networking, you should be on the golf course? Golf course is still out there. Some of you could, if you don't have money, become a caddy. Like Jim Rohn said, go to where the rich people are. Really, a lot of people have done that in history. Go carry their bags. I know people don't want to hear that because we live in woke 2021 where everybody's a pussy, and if anybody thinks that humans aren't all equal, by the way. You may be equal in value on some ethereal philosophical level, like nobody should be able to kill somebody else because I'm special. Like a millionaire shouldn't be able to kill a poor person because we're all equal on the human scale, but we ain't all equal in our relevancy to the planet right now. Like my cousin is a medical doctor. He helps people every day in Los Angeles. He's probably more important than me. Well, in fact, he is more important than me. So we're not equal. His contribution to the world today is probably, maybe some days mine is bigger than his, but we don't have to be egalitarian about everything. I can't stand that about the world now. I heard a guy, Adam Carolla, said when he was growing up, when a rich person came through the city, drove by his street, he's like, his dad would say to him, you see that guy, one day if you work hard and you have willpower and self-discipline, you could be successful. Now it's like, oh, kill the rich. Well, you come to my house, try to kill me, I will fucking blast you. That's my answer to all you fucking people. I will personally blast you. I may not live, but I'm gonna take a few of you kill the rich people with me. Just remember that. Let me give you a little Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. I got a couple ARs and a couple people, and you come to my farms, it's hard to find me. I got 600-700 acre farms. I'm gonna take 25 of you fucking, who are the people that say kill the rich? Is it Antifa? I don't even know. Who is that group of people? Anyway, so back to this. Shotgun approach. Go to the golf course. Carry the bags of the rich. Follow Will Smith. Remember that movie he did? What was it called? With his son Jaden?
Oh, Pursuit of Happiness?
Pursuit of Happiness. What's wrong with that? He went up to people that had a Porsche or whatever car and said, yo, how'd you get the Porsche? He didn't say, kill the rich. Even if you kill the rich, how does that help you? In fact, a lot of people, Elon Musk is rich because he's helping save the world from itself. Why you want to kill Elon Musk? It's like, don't kill the smart people. You know who killed the smart people? Joseph Stalin. He killed all the smart military generals, and then Adolf Hitler was whooping his ass in World War II, and he had no leaders left because Stalin was so paranoid. Adolf Hitler was stupid too. He didn't like the Jews. Guess who all the smart scientists were? Who made the nuclear bomb that ended World War II? Don't be killing the smart people. Kill the annoying people. How about that? How can I start that movement? Discriminate against the annoying. Is that possible? Is that legal? Is that woke? People say that's eugenic. I didn't say eugenics. Just kill the annoying people. Is it possible? Put all the annoying people on one of, how about Jeff Bezos' penis rocket? Put them all in the penis. He made one that looks like a penis. If you're annoying, you get a free trip on Jeff Bezos' rocket as far as you can go. You can go live on Mars. You know I don't want to live on Mars? No normal people are going to be in that first spaceship. You are going to, imagine, I already feel like I'm surrounded by idiots half my life. You're going to send me on Mars with all, not only the mirror, imagine you're going to have a few Jeffrey Dahmers on that first rocket ship to Mars, and he's going to eat 3 of the other people while they're sleeping. I'm going to get a t-shirt. It's not kill. Is it kill the rich? There's a saying. It's like blank the rich. Hang the rich. We're like back in the Jean-Jacques Rousseau days. French Revolution. French Revolution killed a lot of smart people too. Didn't work out so well for the French Revolution, although it was a kind of a good revolution. Okay, get out of your house. Go hang around. Yeah, eat the rich, eat the rich, eat the rich. That's what the damn thing is. And tax the rich. Shit, you already taxed my ass enough. I was paying 52.5% tax in California. That's why I got the fuck out of California. Why, you don't tax me more. Go work yourself, bitch. I can pay all your shit. And I lived in California where all the streets didn't work. Somebody broke into my house. The police take a long time to come. I did a big party in Hollywood Hills. These gang dudes came and were like and I called the police. I was like, bro, I got the fucking Vato Locos outside my door. They're gonna shoot some people. You may wanna come. LAPD didn't come for an hour, 2 hours. I stayed up 6 hours. They never came. I called them back. I said, the gangbangers outside fell asleep and left. So I'm going, don't be taxing my ass. Who's getting this tax money? I don't know who even gets the tax money. I'm pretty sure it's Joe Biden and these people absorbed Bernie Sanders in his lake house. My favorite part of Bernie Sanders, he used to say, there should be no more millionaires. Then he became a millionaire, so he changed it to no more billionaires. I think people just hate people who have more than them. Down with all millionaires, I say. Bernie Sanders is my name. Sir, you're a millionaire now. Down with billionaires. No, millionaires are good. Millionaires are good now. Millionaires are good. That's the rise of Bernie Sanders. When he didn't have 6 figures in his bank account, he's like, down with anybody who has 6 figures. Sir, you have 6 figures in your bank account. Down with the billionaires. Sir, now you have $1 million from your book. Okay, but down with billionaires. Because he can't figure out how to make $1 billion. There you go. Welcome to the world of envy versus learn. Don't envy people. I've never met somebody I envy. Maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think he had a cool life. I do envy. If I could come back, sure as hell wouldn't come back as any billionaire. Because there's more to life than money, don't get me wrong. Never would come back as Elon Musk. Even though I do admire him, I don't envy him. That Arnold Schwarzenegger boy, that guy lived a life. Study his life. That's a real life. He had everything. He was ripped. He had muscles. He had women. He had wealth. He's worth $500-600 million. He had status. He had happiness. He had contribution to the world. He was actually an important person. He pioneered all these gyms around in the world that didn't exist before Arnold. He was, George H. Bush made him the fitness expert. He flew around, got people excited about working out. That's what I admire, by the way. So when I talk about billionaires, it's not from a state of envy, but it's from I learn, So get out of the house, shotgun approach. Say yes to anything logical. Somebody's like, oh, there's a bunch of real estate people coming over. You want to come over? Say yes. Somebody's like, yo, I'm going out with a couple of people from my company to get drinks. Say yes. Say yes. Say yes to stuff. Some of you just say no. That's the world. And you're supported by all your keyboard warriors that just lament life together. That's one of the problems with social media is everybody laments life together, and so they wallow in their own despair. Stop wallowing in your despair. Stop hanging out with the people that got you in the situation where you're in now. Stop. Enough already. How long will you wallow in the place you're in now? Most people just wallow. It's a state of continual wallowing, like a pig, like a swine in its own refuse, man. Get out. Go. You see a conference, you see a Zoom call, you see a mastermind, you're in them. As much as you logically can do and still balance out the rest of your life. Okay? You want to learn how, somebody's talking about AMC. You want to learn crypto? Shotgun approach. Sometimes you don't have to get out of the house now. Go on a Clubhouse, crypto talk. Run it in the background while you're doing something else. Go to Speakeasy. That's an app I own. We're competing with Clubhouse. We're still in beta, but it's already going. Listen to the right podcast, not all of them. And I want to talk about that. Now, okay, after you do that, this is step 1. Let's go to step 2. I need one more damn phone. I should be live on Clubhouse. Why am I not on Clubhouse?
I don't know.
I have my headset on. That's just for Twitter. Maybe I should turn Twitter off. Damn it. Can you download? Do we have one more phone we could download on? I gotta grab one of my phones. Let me grab a new. How about this one? I have to label my phones because I have 15 of them. This says 2019 iPhone 11. Try that one.
Didn't that one die?
That one died?
I think it just bricked.
Okay, here's another one. I have one that says stop using. No, it's coming on. Turn it on. Forgot about that. There's too many social networks now. I can't even remember them all. I gotta label them all. I have Master Phone. That's one of my first phones I ever had. And God knows how many phones I've gone through. These aren't even my original phones. Questions? Who has a question on this? Step 1. Shotgun approach. Network with everybody. By the way, along with this, go talk to people who are strangers and get over your fear of strangers. Let me repeat. My dad was in prison when I was young. When I was born, he was in prison in Terminal Island off Long Beach, California. And But my dad had one superpower, man. My dad's from Harlem. He grew up poor, and he struggled financially his whole life because no one ever really was able to train him. But his mentors were a whole bunch of mafia kind of guys, and that's why he ended up in prison. My dad did learn to make money, but it was selling cocaine. So, by the way, the power of the network, you can learn to make money, but he told me, you know, Tai, I used to have so much money, but then, once he got put in prison, they take everything away, and it was hard for him to ever make money again. But my dad was a master at networking. He had no fear of people. I'll tell you a little trick. My dad could talk to anyone, and one of his tricks was, and you can use this, he just started a stream of consciousness conversation. Write that down if those of you are taking notes. Learn what a stream of consciousness conversation is. And what that means is, instead of walking, like if let's say you see somebody that's beautiful and you want to go talk to them, you're at Starbucks. This is what most people do. Amateurs, white belts in social network. They walk up to him and go, hello, and they use a pickup line, whatever, like, oh, you an angel, you fell out of the sky. Like, but don't do that shit. You know what my dad would do? He would stand next to him and just be like talking, almost like he was talking to himself, and then he would turn and get the answer from him. So here's a practical trick. All of you who are like, I want to learn social skills, I'll teach you. I've been a pretty social dude my whole life. I used to own big nightclubs. I used to do the biggest parties in Hollywood until I got shut down by the Attorney General of Los Angeles. But my dad would just walk up, and he wouldn't always, it wasn't just necessarily women, it was whoever, it's just how he lived his life. And he would just start there, he was like, man, what time is it? Oh, I can't believe it's 5 o'clock. He'd turn and be like, it's 5 o'clock. And that's how you break the window, or you break this kind of ceiling of strangerness, you being a stranger. Because a lot of times, first off, you're not directly approaching people in an aggressive way. Like, do you know what time it is? Like, that way doesn't work. But it's almost like he's talking to himself. He'd be like, oh, it's 7 o'clock. I can't believe it. And then he'd be like, can you believe it's 7 o'clock? And then he would turn away from him. See, by turning back away, showing your back, you're reducing primates' aggression. Primates show aggression by staring at each other. So a lot of you, the reason you suck at networking, because nobody ever taught you this in school, and you're conveying an aggressive stance. And I know a lot of the guys that teach social dynamics and pick up and all this kind of stuff. Even sometimes I think they forget this stream of consciousness. Just live your life and then slowly absorb people into your life. You know? So, for example, if there's someone beautiful that you want to talk to at Starbucks, I'll give you an example. I was on jury duty, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I got called, I couldn't get off this damn murder case. I was on a murder, I was on the jury, and I met this woman that I ended up dating. She was from Germany during my lunch break. Now, this is not about wealth networking, but you want to be just good at networking, period. Period. You just want to be a good networker. And it'll apply to business, love, friendship, all areas of your life. Mentors, you can find mentors this way. But I don't remember exactly what I said to her, but it was like, I was like getting food in line, and I used my father's trick, which there was somebody next to me, and I was kind of like, what should we order? Like, the menu's got too many options. And then I just kind of turned to her. She was actually sitting, I remember. She wasn't even in the line. And I was just like, what should I? But I said it loud enough that she could hear. And I was kind of like, I wonder what I should get. This place is confusing. And then I just kind of turned to her and I was like, what did you get? Like, how'd you figure it out? And then I turned my back again so it wasn't super aggressive to her. Because guys, remember, most men, you're way way bigger than a woman physically. Men on average have about 70% bigger, larger or stronger upper bodies. Lower bodies, women have pretty strong legs compared to men. So I guess you could show women your legs and they wouldn't be afraid of you. But your upper body in general is kind of a aggressive thing. So instead of turning the body, which a lot of dudes do, and like, hey, what did I just kind of turned my most imposing part. And by the way, most men, we ain't good looking. So your face, you don't need to stare. People are always like, oh, you need to look a woman in the eyes. Not when you first met her. Men are very delusional. One of my mentors is Robert Trivers. He's a founder of evolutionary biology, father, they consider him. He from Harvard. In general, men are more delusional about how handsome they are. So by turning away from her, she didn't have to stare at my face. It's a win-win situation. Don't be making a new woman stare at your face all day. Look straight ahead so she don't have to see your shit all the time. Especially most men have bad breath. I don't even know how women date men. Like, most guys I know smell. I'm like, how do you even get, ladies, how do you get over the smell of most men? I don't even know how you do it. But anyway, when you get out of the house, and this is step 2, you need to master the opening. And I'm not talking about dating here. I'm talking about, let's say you go where a lot of rich people are. You go to the golf course, or you go to a conference. You go to some networking event. Because now you're out of the house. You're following step number 1. That's what I did. I was active. I've been to almost any conference, even if it wasn't in industries that I knew anything about. Okay? Then luckily my father, who didn't teach me anything about making money growing up, like I said, he was in prison a lot. He went a few times. He broke parole and so on and so forth. But I had learned a little bit in my teenage years. My mom didn't let me see my dad until I was about a teenager, because she thought it'd be a bad impression on me, which is probably right. But he did teach me this. He didn't teach it, I just watched him. He mastered the opening. So I just talked about that. When you're at a networking event. Now, men with men, you even then don't come off aggressive. I've had that. Like, I'm at a conference, I'm speaking, people come up to the crowd and just fly up to me. You know what that triggers in a man's brain? Another guy flying up to you. It triggers all of the fight and flight, cortisol reactions and all of these hormonal reactions that makes you want to punch people in the face. So you need to ease into relationships with strangers when you're networking. Ease into it. It'll be okay. Ease into it. So I eased into it. Like I said, I like to bring a friend with me. So I've been to a couple things and got to know Elon Musk a little bit. So I'll just tell you a practical story. We're not close friends. And I'm not even sure he will remember me. But at one point, we were in the same social circles, and I was at a few events, and he remembered me because I had just talked to him. The first time I met him was at the Grove, actually. It was hilarious, which is a movie theater, Grove movie theater in Los Angeles. And it was just me and him. I was dating a girl named Kenna. And in front of me, I was like, and this is before Elon Musk was that well known. This is like 2014. He was known, but like he wasn't like now. He's really known. And he bought 3 hot dogs. I can tell you that about Elon Musk's eating habits. They weren't the best at that time. That was when he was back a little chubbier. He had 3 hot dogs. And I was like, I think that's Elon Musk. And my girlfriend at the time was like, who's Elon Musk? And I was like, this dude's a badass. And so I did an opener, a lazy opener. If you want to know a lazy opener, guys, bring a pretty woman with you and have them open up the conversation with another man. That shit really works. So I was like, go talk to him and say something about, I forgot what I told her. I was like, go talk to Elon and talk about space. And sure enough, he turned around and she's a very attractive woman. And he was kind of like, I started a conversation. Then I came right in about 4 seconds later. And then I talked to her. I talked to him. I remember I was talking to him about, one thing I remember, we talked for a little bit, then we both went to our movie, different theater. And I was like, Elon, what do you think about the BMW? Because that was when the BMW had that, what was it, the I-Class? They had their electric car. And I go, what do you think of the BMW? And he goes, it's aight. That's what he said. I was like, what? It was very odd. He's a funny guy to talk to. He literally said it's aight, and then left. So, but that's a lazy opener. You can master different kind of openings. So you got the lazy opener, bring an attractive person with you. That's a no-brainer, okay? The lazy opener, who's lazy? Be honest. Who's lazy? Yeah, I ate, thank you. Okay? If you're lazy, bring an attractive friend with you. That shit is a flawless way to open the doors. You go into a conference, doesn't have to be even somebody who likes you. You know why at conferences they hire models to sit there in their booth? Because that's a lazy opener. I used to go to a lot of conferences in Vegas, like Affiliate Summit and all these, and they have all these pretty women, and you know, sometimes they have good-looking men or women, depending on your target audience. Well, that's because they're smart. Why do you think the UFC, they have these, you know, in between rounds, they hold up these little signs. They ain't using no ugly person. Lazy opener. Now, number 2, as I told you, is more like the deflected one. If you're alone, do the deflection. Stream of consciousness deflection. Stream of consciousness deflection. Okay, that's not gonna work, is it? Is anything? Does that one work? Trying to go on Clubhouse.
No.
Maybe I'll kill Twitter and I'll just go to Clubhouse. That's what I think I'm gonna do. Twitter, it's been real. I don't care enough about you. I need his phone. I'm switching to Clubhouse. Edit podcast. Boom. Oh, you can edit. I think you can edit out the first. Let's see.
Sweet.
Save changes. Okay, can you switch this to Clubhouse and enter it? I'll just start and I'll just start a new thing. Okay, where's
You don't want to shard.
I don't want to shart. Is shart? I thought it's shat. Is sharding the past of of shat?
Sharding it. Yeah.
It didn't. Okay, you got to charge one too. Okay, what is he talking about? I am talking about how I built my millionaire network when I was not a millionaire and had no money. I had a technique. Step 1 is I just got out of the house. Step 2 was I mastered the opening, the psychology of the opening. I'm much more of a psychologist than a businessman. I am a businessman. I mean, I'm a CEO of a big holding company called Retail E-Commerce Ventures. So I own big companies that do a lot of revenue, but I come at the world with a psychology flair, you could call it. And I think that's most wealthy people are actually psychologists. Elon Musk is a master of mass psychology. He knows how to talk about Dogecoin and put his memes on Twitter and all that, and you know, keep Tesla top of mind. Okay. So, all right. Somebody said, Tai, you can't even flip the phone. You're full of shit. No, I'm smart. All the dumb people can't follow along because they can't just listen to me. So I call this weeding out the riffraff. All the riffraff is like, I'm very confused by the fact that you have the screen flipped. Well, you ain't ever gonna become a millionaire. I never met a millionaire who easily gets confused. I've met a lot of people who get easily confused, but that's why they struggle. Okay, you got it?
That's just it. Let's go. I got the title.
You got the title?
Mm-hmm. It's down at the bottom.
Okay. Let's see if I'm connected. What's up, Clubhouse? I'm on a lot of networks. Good. I think you can hear me. Okay. Clubhouse is cool because I don't have to turn the video on. We'll see. I used to be really popular on Clubhouse, and I haven't gone on Clubhouse in a long time. Okay. Who has a question about how to build a millionaire network? That's what I'm talking about today. Clubhouse, I just started. Just launched it, but I've been going for a while on my own Zoom. Somebody said, Tai, your sentences are awkward. You know how I learned that shit from? You know, as the master of an awkward sentence, but it works effectively for him? Damn Donald Trump. Say what you want, but that guy spoke in a way that people understood what he was saying. In an unpolished way. Now, I'm not saying he was a great president. Maybe you can't stand Donald Trump. I care very little about politics, but I study everybody. As Abraham Lincoln said, he said a very clear message. I learn from anybody and everybody. Often what not to do, but I'm still a learning machine. So when I think about, you know, Donald Trump, the man did not speak fluidly. But I'm like, maybe he was smart like a fox. You know what smart like a fox means? Or dumb, sorry, should I say dumb like a fox, sorry? That's the Kardashians. People go, oh, these Kardashians are so vapid and so dumb. Well, they ain't that fucking dumb. To finesse the entire world, you can't be completely dumb. Was Rasputin dumb? He finessed the whole Russian, czar and then czarina. If you don't know who Rasputin is, I'm worried about the state of education, because you should know who Rasputin is, because he's one of the most persuasive and powerful people in history. And he's a precursor to the Soviet Union, the Russian Revolution. And you should just fucking know history anyway, because smart people know history. Anyway, so going back to the way you speak, because that's on number 2. Number 1, the way I built my millionaire network was just get out of the house. I went to anything, everything. I'd carry bags for rich people if I had to. I'd be a cat. I wasn't a caddy, but in hindsight, I should have been a caddy, because the golf course is full of people making $700,000 to $800,000 a year. And if I carry their bags, I become their friends. I learn what they learn. I learn through absorption and osmosis. So number 1, I just got out of the house and did everything I could. Number 2, I mastered the psychology of opening conversations with people who don't normally want to talk to me. The best way to practice that is with attractive people you want to date. All of you who are afraid, who here, honestly, doesn't think you missed out on something in life because you were afraid to go talk to somebody? Who here has the what if in the back of their mind? I'll tell you, about 2 years ago, I was flying back from Europe, okay? I live in Scandinavia part-time. I'm in Puerto Rico, is where I moved. But I was in, I can't remember, Sweden or Denmark. And I was out in the airport coming back. And there was a woman. This woman is like Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships. I was like, that might be the most beautiful human being I've ever seen. Okay? And there was almost no one there. It was like the security line. And I should have, I can't even blame, I know how to talk to strangers. I've done it my whole life. I don't know fucking any of you. I'm talking to 2,000 people right now, strangers. But for some reason I hesitated and I turned around and she was gone. And to this day, 2 years later, I'm like, I should have talked to her. Man, if you start talking to people, 1 out of 5 people will come into your life in the long run. I swear to you. It's not even a bad ratio. People think the ratio is, it's like, 1 out of, you talk to 100 people and 1 out of 100. Well, maybe for dating, not everybody's gonna fall in love with you. A lot of ugly people in this world, you ain't gonna get everybody to fall in love with you. You get enough though. You can get enough. And if you get a little skill to your psychology and persuasion, you'll get 1 out of 5 people will come into your life. Not except, maybe they won't be, there's beautiful women that didn't like me back and we just became friends. It's okay. People are like, oh, you don't want to get friend zoned. Fuck that, you're gonna get friend zoned. Everybody get it. Just deal with it, stop it. Pussy generation we live in, Oh, I can't handle, I've been friend zoned. Well, get used to it. Because the only people that don't get friend zoned are the people who never get anybody. Tai, what business should I start that I automatically make money? I start anything. Start any business. Oh, what if I fail? Well, get used to it. The only people who don't fail are the people who don't enter the arena. So, going back to that old 3-second rule, a lot of you already know that rule, but the 3-second rule, if you see somebody you should talk to, you have 3 seconds to just approach. Now, I would extend it, because what I would do is, I would take 60 seconds at least on the approach. Because people misinterpret the 3-second rule to think you have 3 seconds to talk to them. That is not enough time to do the setup, and you will come off as a creepy stalker if you fly up to every woman you're attracted to or every millionaire and say, it's been 3 seconds, I gotta talk to you, hello, how are you doing? Like, that's like, call that the 3-second stalker rule. If you would like to embed your face in the amygdala of many humans, do a 3-second rule. But it should be the 3-second you approach, but take about 60 seconds to figure out the approach. And as I said, the deflection approach is the best way, which is you kind of talk to yourself or you talk to somebody else, and then you flip to them for a millisecond, ask them, and then deflect back to your friend. So I'm in Starbucks. I did this with Elon Musk when I first met him. I did the lazy approach. I just had a pretty girlfriend with me. That way you can just go on autopilot. Just go, hey, go talk to him. She's like, who is he? I'm like, just go talk to him. And that one works well. But if you don't have that, then the deflected approach works well, which is, let's say I'm a golf course. Elon Musk comes through the golf course. I'm a nobody. I'm the caddy. I'm kicking up the bags. Simple conversational pattern that I would have. I would talk to myself. But I would say something maybe interesting because it's Elon Musk. I know he's golfing. I'd be like, blah. I would talk about the state of the turf. I would talk about the hole that I'm on. I would talk about the wind. Damn, this wind is gonna make the next shot. And I don't know much about golf, so just ignore my lingo. But I would say something about how the wind's gonna mess up the shot, and I would just turn to Elon and be like, you a weatherman? You know how to, you a weatherman? And then I turn back. I'm telling you, he will respond. I've had long conversations with Elon Musk, but the first time I did the lazy approach. The second time that I met him, I sat next to him at a movie premiere of the, with Dolph Lundgren, is a friend of mine from Rocky, but what's the two brothers that do all the movies, like Fargo and stuff?
Cohen?
Cohen brothers. I went to a Cohen movie, got to walk the red carpet, and I go to sit down, and this damn Elon Musk sitting next to me. And it's funny, I was with Dolph Lundgren, I go, you know who that is? And he's like, who is that? Dolph Lundgren had no idea who Elon Musk is. And if you don't know who Dolph Lundgren is, you suck at movie and art history, and you should know who that is. But anyway, that was the second time. The third time is interesting. Elon Musk recognized me. We were at the Chinese theater about a month later. I was seeing the premiere of Game of Thrones season 6. And I walked out of the bathroom, and we kind of recognized, because I had this conversation. I actually have it on my Instagram somewhere. The conversation where I asked Elon Musk how he learned about space. You know, you know his answer was? He bought a book. Ha! All these mofos who say, oh, Tai, you talk about reading a book. Books aren't that important. Just do it. My ass. Elon Musk's sister just recently posted that she remembers Elon as a teenager used to read 2 books a day. My book of the day ain't shit. I'm only reading 1. He read 2 books a day. And when I asked him, I was like, you didn't go to school to be an aerospace engineer. He did do physics, but you can be a physicist, not how to build rocket ships. He's like, I bought a whole bunch of textbooks and I read them. So the deflected stream of consciousness, and you're looking for some kind of shared, if you can read this, shared interests, but momentary interests. You don't want to come up to somebody, if you see Mark Zuckerberg or something, or Jeff Bezos, you don't want to come up and be like, I'm trying to be rich, you're rich, let's talk. That's not a shared interest, because in the moment he's in, he probably has no interest in talking about that. So that's why I said, if Jeff Bezos is on the golf course and I'm wanting to network, I'm looking for momentary shared interest. Right now, what does Jeff Bezos care about? Right now. And golf is the answer. Or movies are the answer. You see, if I'm at a movie premiere. By the way, who here has ever gone to a movie premiere in Hollywood? Why not? Go. Get on an airplane. They have movie premieres even now. A lot of interesting people I've met at movie premieres. They're not that hard to get in. The only hard thing to get into that the hardest is the Academy Awards. I've gone, that one's hard. I went and got to be backstage with Chris Rock. I'm the only person, they told me, to ever be able to go backstage as a guest with the host of the show in Academy Award history. That's my one claim to fame, ladies and gentlemen. I have one, put that on my tombstone. This man was behind the scenes, an Academy Award in the green room with the co-host. Not a very important accomplishment. I hope I have one more than that. But go to a movie premiere. No one talk. You know who goes to movie premieres? Interesting people. There's movie premieres in New York City and London. There's little indie film festivals. Who here has been to a film festival? Who's been to one? We are not rich enough. My ass is a mistake person. You're just an excuse. I have an excuse everything. Tai, you know what my life sucks? Because Joe Biden's president. Wait, your life sucked before Joe Biden. No, it's Donald Trump. Well, your life sucked then too. When will you take the when will the model world people take responsibility? You know? I was like, incels shoot women because women don't like them. I'm like, yeah, that's a great way to get women to like you. Be more hostile to women And then therefore women really, that's the best seductive pattern. And read Casanova. Who's ever read the memoirs of, I think it's Giancarlo Casanova? Who's ever read that? Anybody? He was the master of persuasion, psychology. That's the world we live in. People are like, I'm lonely. Well, you know who wasn't lonely? Casanova. In fact, he was so good at social settings. And by the way, Casanova wasn't just about sleeping with women. Casanova was the master. He was friends with, Voltaire. He was friends with, which of the kings? The king of Prussia. Some of these, Frederick the Great, I think, if I remember correctly. You can read about it right now. What's your excuse? You can buy, I have it on iMessage on my phone. iBooks on my phone. And I think it's free. I'll show you all. I'm reading a book right now called Sleepwalkers, the story of the cause of World War I. It's a pretty interesting book. But you just put in on my phone, Casanova. There it is. I think it's free. The Complete Memoirs of Jacques Casanova de Sagnault. Or he had two names, Casanova, whatever it is. You must rise above your circumstances, and the good news is enough humans have lived before you that all the paths and everything you need to learn has already been mapped by somebody else. It's just you're wallowing in your own despair. Hustle Grind 80 said, what's the dude going about, man? Some of you cannot be on this podcast because it's not linear enough for you. Some of you need linear. Some of you are linear brain people. You know who also is linear? I train dogs. And I have cattle and horses. I train them very linear. I go, sit. My dogs have an IQ about 40, so they go, I follow you. I sit and you give me food. Now, some humans can understand more complex, broad, expansive conversations, and some can't. So there's on Instagram who are like, wait, I don't follow. That's because, but I can teach you something. Sit. You need a different advisor. There's a lot of advisors on social media that are like linear. You want to be rich? Okay. Well, step 1, hustle and grind. Okay. Step 2, sell stuff. Step 3, just start today. And step 4, believe in yourself. You're good enough. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm good enough. I'm awesome enough. And damn it, I love myself. Who needs that? You're on the wrong stream. This is Tai Lopez. Not fucking Ronald McDonald. Some of you need that Ronald McDonald chat. Some of you need that, life coach. I know a life coach. I'm a businessman. You want to hear from a businessman who's seen a lot and done a lot, you can call me. If not, you got your TikTokers for you. I watch TikTok once in a while. Try not to get high off my own supply. You all want short, linear, non-realistic advice? Go there. If you want to learn how to make $1 million, you need to listen to people talk for long periods of time. I listened to my first mentor, Joel Salatin, for years. It wasn't one thing that he said that was the catalyst for me building my first business with him. By the way, I networked with my first mentor. And I made $12,000, boy. I was still a teenager. And remember, I grew up in a family that's pretty poor. I was not ever hungry. Thank God. Some people are really poor. But, I went to high school and I lived in a mobile home. So, however wealthy you are when you live in a mobile home, it was a double wide though. It was a double wide, so I won that for. But anyway, I had never made $12,000. And so that was from a partnership that came from networking, But it was a long stream of consciousness I lived with Joel for 18 months in his backyard. And I listened to that stream of consciousness, and that's what no Instagram reel would have helped me. We live in the TikTok. Get to the point. There is no quick point to making $1 million. You have to make $1 million, you have to make about 75 good chess moves in your life. One of them, you can't be ADD. Somebody said double wide trailer, you all were balling. I had a friend, remember Josh, didn't have a double wide. Yeah, I had friends that only had, I was like, your ass is poor, bro. You got one of them single wide. I got the double wide experience going on. And he lived in a trailer park. I didn't live in a trailer park.
Who was the nicer?
He did have a nicer park in Garner, North Carolina. I lived on some friends, and somebody at the church was rich, and they let us put a mobile home on their farm. That was kind of cool. Okay, so somebody said, let's go to number 3. And this is build your own mastermind. Build your own mastermind. So the topic for today, for those entering, is how I built a millionaire network when I was starting out. Now it's easy for me, right? Because I know how to make $1 million bucks. It's not hard for me to surround myself with other people who are millionaire. That's not, interesting. But it was at one point. At one point, I was excited if I could be around somebody making. I remember I met somebody who was making like 300 grand a year. I was like, I don't even know if this shit's real. This person has to be lying. There ain't no way you make $300,000 a year. I'm like, that's like $25,000 a month. But step 1 for those who are new, get out of the house and use the shotgun approach. Just go to everything. Step 2 was learn the psychology of opening conversations with strangers without turning them off. And step number 3, build your own mastermind. Now, the way I did it was with parties at my house that evolved into masterminds. So like 2009, I built, somebody said forearm gang. I still have strong forearms from being on a farm. I used to milk cows by hand. Any of you want to get strong arms? Fuck your little reverse curls and little stuff like, people trying to do wrist curls. Go milk a couple cows every morning and night. You'll be strong. You have strong hands in a second. Anyway, build your own mastermind. The way I built my mastermind in Hollywood, 2009, I moved into a house in the Hollywood Hills. A lot of you saw it. It was here in my garage video. That house. And I just started doing house parties. A lot. I did so many house parties, I eventually got shut down by the city. It's a big kind of disaster. I mean, they would send a helicopter and shut you down. And so I shut down. Luckily, I had network, believe it or not. What kept me from having to pay a big fine for house parties after a couple years, I made a friend in the LAPD. LAPD, you want to have friends in the right places. Everybody should have a friend who's a judge, and you should have a friend who's a police officer. I know everybody hates the police, but you may want to have a police officer friend, because this guy used to call me and be like, yo, Ty, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but your party is going out on the police network. So then I would shut down the party by the time because the police would drive up to your house and try to fine you or whatever. I'd be like, all right, it's 1 a.m, I'm shutting down the party. But yeah, you know what's funny? That police officer became a follower of my social media, quit LAPD because he said he hated working at LAPD. He's like the most toxic place, he said. And he opened a yogurt franchise. He bought a yogurt franchise, a frozen yogurt. Sometimes people are like, Ty, you're just making this shit up. Nobody would make this up. It's the weirdest thing to make up. He started a yogurt franchise and moved to Chicago. I can tell you his first name starts with a T. I don't want to expose him, but anyway, I started masterminds at my house, did house parties, made a ton of friends in Hollywood because I was new to Hollywood, and just made friends. It wasn't all about dating. It was guys. It was, I still have a friend, our friend Frank and Josh. They're movie guys, super into movies. In fact, I'm producing 3 movies this year. One of them is with, if you ever seen the movie Gladiator, one's with Russell Crowe. History of boxing movie. I did one with Dustin Hoffman this year. I'm executive producer. Executive producing one with Sigourney Weaver. These people all won Academy Awards. But back then I was a machine of networking. And that was such an important step. And a lot of you are skipping that step, I have a big investor inner circle. I have 450 investors who do deals with me. And a lot of those came from that original house party, So I built my mastermind as parties, if you're not the partying type. But what I evolved them into was every Sunday, I said, anybody who's interested in business, my house is open between 12 and 3. Bring food. I made it a potluck. I was like, don't be making me make all the food. And I said, bring girls. But not a lot. It wasn't like a party, but I just told guys, bring a woman. Everything's better when you have equal ratios never, I used to own nightclubs. I'd tell dudes, why are you coming to my nightclub with 30 guys? Like, are you trying to ruin the vibe? So I would kick them out, or I'd make them spend $300 at the door. I used to charge you. Be like, you want to come in? Each of you is like 100 to 200. Sometimes I did $300. So when you do these parties, by the way, or masterminds, do not let it be all one. There's a reason there's men and women sex. I'm not going to talk about gender. It's outside my expertise, how many genders there are, but sex is different. Okay? Have equal sexes at your event, unless it's like a special dude night or only thing. And so I wouldn't let that many people. It wasn't a big party. Every Sunday was probably like 25 to 30 people. We would chill. Our place had a beautiful view. It was a little swimming pool. In the summer, people would come, and it was just great. People would come in and out. And if you're shy, you should do this even more. Who here is shy and an introvert? Who here is shy and introvert? Rick in the background. Who else? If you're shy, you got to get over it, my friend. But you don't have to become a super extrovert, but you have to overcome it a little bit. You're not going to change your core identity. If you're a really hardcore introvert, you're going to stay one for the rest of your life for the most part. Dr. David Buss, Harvard evolutionary psychologist, taught me this. You ain't going to change much. But if you're on the borderline, some of you are ambiverts, maybe you'll change a little bit. Okay? But the good news is, if you're an introvert, you don't have to become an extrovert. There's master networkers who are introverts. Just do everything smaller. I used to have parties. The biggest party I ever did on my social media, I had 1,100 people in my backyard. In that 2016, I did a party in 2016 for social media influencers. I had 1,123 people. I forget, it was insane. If you're an introvert, have 23 people, not 1,123. Okay? Somebody said you're shy, but not an introvert. It's not really true, but a lot of introverts are like, I'm shy, but I'm not an introvert. It depends. It's a word with a lot of ambiguity. But I actually studied at the Myers-Briggs Institute one time to become certified in Myers-Briggs. I had a huge falling out with the professor, and so he kicked me out. So I'm actually not a certified Myers-Briggs person, but I did the whole program. But he was an idiot, and I told it to him finally, and he got mad, and he made me leave. So that was a couple years ago. It's a funny story. I was with Herman, and Herman stayed. I was like, come on, Herman, we're leaving. And he's like, I'm staying. This guy was a moron. Anyway, if you're shy, in general, you are an introvert. I know nobody likes to hear that, and people like to delineate magically between that, but it's not that common. So extroverts, it is possible. Look, you know semantics, you know words don't exist, right? So we can just make up any word we want. This isn't a shirt, this is a fucking galoshes. There you go. See how I did that? You can't prove it. Prove it. Prove this isn't an umbrella. See, I'm wearing an umbrella. Come on, man. Stop with, we live in a world that just plays with words. Go down to the reality of the fact, of the matter. The classic scientist difference between extrovert and introvert is who's loud and who's quiet. Stop it, enough. I can't, it's like society's becoming untenable, unlivable, because every fucking person, I'm just gonna start walking around and going, I'm a trillionaire. I'm a trillionaire. People are like, no, you're not. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've defined trillionaire as whatever Tai Lopez is. Stop. Just let the word be what the fucking word is. Who cares? You know introverts are richer than extroverts, right? Did anybody know that? Extroverts are too distracted. Who's an introvert? Jeff Bezos. Who's an introvert? Warren Buffett. Who's an introvert? Well, Buffett maybe he's probably an extrovert. Elon Musk, introvert. Bill Gates, introvert. Zuckerberg, introvert. Why all you introverts got to be extroverts? Why does everybody have to be somebody else? Shit. We can't say anybody's ethnicity anymore. I'm fucking half white and half Spanish. Is that okay to say? Is anybody butt hurt? Do I have to say I'm native fucking Hispaniola or something like that? Do I have to say I'm from the Iberian Peninsula? We're all probably from Africa. We're all Africans then. Do we have to say that? Is everybody hurt by each word that proceeds from each mouth? I got good news for you though. Since we live in a pussy generation, it's easy to make money. Sometimes I look at my business partner, I'm like, is it this easy? Is it this easy? Yeah. It's like bench pressing in a gym where everybody's never lifted weights before. You put one plate on each side, you bench press 135, and people are like, wow, who is this person? I'm like, yeah, you gotta have a little resistance in life. So whatever gender you are, ethnicity, however poor you grew up, just get over it. If you're ugly and you're a dude, don't shoot women, become more charming, and I swear to you, less women will like you if you're ugly, but you'll get a few pretty ones in your day. Oh, I have a friend that's ugly. I mean, this dude is a 2. And every once in a while, this guy would come, and you're like, how the fuck did this guy do? Because this guy didn't care, and he made up for it with charm. So if you're an introvert, you're gonna be okay. It's okay. You gotta come out of the basement sometime. If you're shy, you're probably an introvert. It's okay. It's okay, everybody. Let me stop for a moment of silence and encouragement for everybody that I just called an introvert. Do you have Brahms' Lullaby? Go to sleep, da-dee-da. Do I need to rock everybody to sleep because everybody's a little bit. Is your anxiety okay? You can't call anybody anxious anymore. You can't call, I don't know what to call anybody. I have friends who are black. I'm like, am I allowed to call you that? You're African American? Okay, you weren't from Africa, so that insults you? What do I call it? I just started calling people Homo sapiens. That's my new thing. But then people don't believe in evolution. So they're like, I don't believe in Homo sapiens, that we evolved 2.2 million. I offended all my Christian friends. My business partner is an atheist. So if I say, all of you divine creations, he's offended. And if I say Homo sapiens, what's left to say? I'm going to invent my own language. That's what I've decided. And I can never be canceled for whatever I say. If I tell people stop being a pussy, in my definition of the word pussy, it means awesome person. So therefore, I just called you an awesome person. Anyway, yeah. Build your own mastermind or attend somebody else's mastermind. This works. This works. This works. Someone said, Tai, you are on a roll tonight. This is how I actually am. I just don't always have the time. But since it's Sunday, Monday through, I'm pretty busy during the week. But anyways, someone said, you're all over the place. Good. Get used to it. I'm not a professional fucking teacher. If you need someone to teach you with a curriculum, why don't you go to school and learn nothing? I mean, it's fine with me. Every smart person that I've ever met, you ever listen to somebody who's smarter than me? They're not always linear. Linear is how you speak to your dogs and how you train your dog to sit with a piece of little, meat. But this is a stream of consciousness conversation because that's what social media is, and people comment and then I respond. See how that works? See how that works? I talk, people say stuff, I respond. I know that, I think we're so detached from conversation. Do you go out with your friends and be like, as we're out for dinner, I have my linear agenda of how we shall speak. First, we will order food. Second, the conversations will switch to politics and each of you will have 15 minutes to speak and then we shall move to the next conversation. No, stream of consciousness. By the way, I'm showing you all a little bit of this because part of the reason I know how to network is I can have a conversation and talk. Some of you need to practice speaking. Did you know that? Is that a mind-blowing thing? People who can commute, Warren Buffett, the billionaire, and arguably and statistically the best risk-adjusted investor in modern history, he said he went to Wharton, which is, top business school. He had Benjamin Graham, the founder of modern stock market investing, as his personal mentor. But he said, you know what's the most important thing I ever did? In the 1940s, I bought a little course and I went to a little seminar, kind of like a mastermind, and it was about how to win friends and influence people. And I learned public speaking. And he said, I paid the equivalent of $1,000. And he said, that's what changed my life. That's the actual causative wealth creator, he says. It wasn't his Wharton degree. It's because he could speak in a way that interested enough people, not everybody, but enough people, that they would listen, that they would learn, and they felt value, Someone said, this guy rents cars and Lamb. Is that still going? I used to get that a lot. It's still.
I
Rick?
I don't pay attention.
It's still, I'm gonna see how successful I have to be, and people will still think it's all rented. I just am wondering. I'm like, if I'm like in my own rocket ship, flying to Mars and live streaming, are people gonna be like,
You rented it.
I rented it
Yeah.
for this commercial? I wanna make a freaking YouTube video. I'm here in my rocket. I'll be like, it's fun to be out here in the Andromeda Galaxy, but you know what I like more than flying through the Andromeda Galaxy? Knowledge. That's why I built a special compartment. I built a special compartment in this rocket ship to hold all my books. I got some IKEA bookshelves right here so that when I get wherever I'm going past Mars, I will be able to have knowledge. And that's, I should do one like that. That'd be good with a little green screen going, da 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 dee da da. All right, so who's built their own mastermind before? By the way, I'm streaming here on like 5 places. I've got Speakeasy, an app that I'm building. I'm on Zoom with people who are on my tailopez.com. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and now Clubhouse. What happened to Clubhouse? Clubhouse kind of fell off. What's our theory? I have a theory. Radio always loses to TV. Everybody's all stoked about social audio. I'm like, bro, do you read fucking books? Do you know history? Ain't nobody give a shit about radio no more, dipshits. Yeah, there's Spotify. How much is Spotify worth? Good look. Oh, you can't. What's the valuation on Spotify? 5 billion? Fucking TikTok's 5 years old, worth 300 billion. Hello. All you who think you're geniuses with your, oh, I'm gonna build a social audio competitor. Okay, why don't you build a competitor to the Model A and Model T car? I got a great idea for you. Why don't you build a Commodore 64 computer competitor? Why don't you build a, yeah, Tandy. I own Radio Shack, so why don't you build yourself a why don't you build a horse? I own a horse and buggy too, because I have a big farm in the middle of an Amish community. Who here, I got the next big trend. Y'all should be manufacturing a little bit of, horse and buggies. Anyway, I just noticed Clubhouse kind of fell off a little bit, which was my theory from day one, that some audio thing, it's not that many people. It's like podcast. Would you rather own podcast network or YouTube? Now, video podcast is what YouTube is. The future will all be video.
41 billion Spotify.
Spotify's worth 41 billion. Audio. TikTok and Instagram combined are probably $500 billion. That's about your rate. That's about your ratio. That's about the ratio. Trump's launching his own social media. I saw he did a SPAC. By the way, I launched my own mastermind. I had it for years. I'm gonna actually put a link. I forgot I was supposed to mention this and sell something. I've been talking to y'all so much that I forgot to mention, but I have an advanced investor network. I call it the Mogul Mastermind that I'm doing. First one is in 2 weeks in Miami, but we're talking about all the advanced stuff you won't learn. SPACs, RTOs. Who knows what an RTO is? Who knows how to do activism public investing? Who understands the world of DeFi in crypto? Like, there's levels to this. Who understands M&A? Who's ever bought a company? Anybody? I bought 8 big companies in the last, year and a half. The smallest one I bought was doing 500 million in revenue when I bought it. Modell's Sporting Goods. Who knows? RTO? Somebody said RTO means return on investment. No. These are reverse kind of mergers in the stock. Anyway, there's a lot for you to learn. I now go to masterminds of all levels. Let me actually post this link. Can you post the link? Anybody interested? I haven't been selling much here, but I'll put a little link. If you want to apply to be in my mastermind, this is for those of you who are more advanced. I don't have a beginner mastermind. I should have one, but I don't have one. So if you're more advanced, who here is making at least, 100 grand a year or $1 million a year? Who's interested? Who's in that category? Bra, where is he reading the questions from? Bra, well, I'm looking at the comments. What's my best investment in my entire life? Tangible or intangible? My favorite investment is I buy a lot of farmland and I turn it into the future. I think the future of humanity is in fixing the earth, not just going to space. I got no problem with going to space, but I don't think it's as tenable as people think in the short run. I'm not that excited to go to Mars and live on the first base station with a whole bunch of fucking weirdos is what's gonna happen. I like my space. Shit, I like a lot of room between me and my neighbors. I'm not gonna go live in some bubble with a whole bunch of weirdos that got on Blue Origin's rocket ship. So I buy farmland that's run down and I turn it into organic farms. I have about 1,100 acres. I need to count, but I just bought another 185. I put another 100 under contract. I'm putting under contract this week. So that's not necessarily my investment that makes me. Farmland is more slow and steady. Farmland's done about 10% a year over the last, if you look back between now and 1996, it's done about 10 to 12%. It's done better than like the Russell 3000. So it's done pretty well. That's my favorite investment. My most on a net worth basis, buying big brands is I bought Pier 1 for $31 million. That's that was doing $1.7 billion when I bought it. I should have bought it for $20 million. I was the stalking horse on it for $20 million. Who knows a stalking horse? I'm gonna test all you, because some of you are like, "Hi, I'm too advanced for this." You ain't fucking advanced. Shit, if you were advanced, I would know your name. People try to fucking bullshit me. It's funny, a lot of people think, they're like, Tai doesn't know what a cap rate is. I'm like, dude, I will tell you there's lots of critiques you can make of me. If you don't think I know a lot about business, I will come. Let me quiz your ass. Who's done the 3? And I will quiz you on what you've actually done, not just a little formula you memorized. Who's ever done a 363 acquisition? Who even knows what that means? Exactly. There's levels to this. Who's done an RTO? Who does public market activism and buys pieces of public companies and comes in and takes board seats and moves things around? Who's done a SPAC? Who's done the new kind of SPAC? The contribution of an operating company to a SPAC. Come on now. I don't flex like this that much. I should. Rick, I need to go on fucking social media and be like, I want all of you that are the best business people ever. Come on. I need you. I'm gonna come. Let me test you. Let me test you as to what you've actually done. Because business is very complex. Very complex. I've learned, you know how I've learned a lot? Well, I have big lawyer bills to buy companies. When I bought Radio Shack, it was a 600-page document. You know what my legal bill was to buy Radio Shack and Steinmart? $1 million in January of this year. So don't fucking try to put your chest out about you a big business boy. Send me your fucking $1 million lawyer bill from a top law firm in the world. Then I know you're doing business. Bring me, show me, with your company name on it. Then I'll respect you as a businessman. I want to see $1 million in 1 month from a respected top law firm in America. Lawyer bill hours for anything. No, you got to be doing big deals to have $1 million legal bill. I remember in 2008, first kind of billionaire mentor I ever had. He wasn't worth quite $1 billion, but about 800 million. He had a $500,000 legal bill I saw on his desk, and I was so blown away. I was like, this is the best business guy, the best mentor I ever had. Then I got $1 million one in 1 month, and I was thinking, well, shit. Eventually, the student surpasses the mentor. I hope those of you who look up to me, I hope all of you surpass me. The job of the mentor is to be surpassed. I'm not intimidated by that. In fact, that would be a badge of honor that all of you do better than me. You know? All of you. But just realize business is more complex than you think. You know? And even knowing basic terms doesn't mean you know it. Who really understands here CLOs? Who understands CLOs? You know? CMOs, those are what caused the damn 2008 Big Short. You know who my neighbor here is, right here where I live in Puerto Rico? The guy who made a couple $2 billion from the Big Short. You ever seen that movie? Well, he's my neighbor. It's good networking. Good networking. So going back to this, how do you build a $1 million millionaire network? You either go to them or they come to you. That's it. I'll make it real simple. Some of you need it simple. You either go to them or they come to you. You either go to them or they come to you. So pick your poison. Okay, let me put this little, did we pin the links on all of these? Tell Itzel to pin them. If you want to, by the way, if you want to apply, if you want to come to my mastermind, where I bring a whole bunch of millionaires together, you can apply for mine. I haven't done a very good job selling it, but because I've been too busy. But
can you say the link?
Can you send it to Rick? Rick is here. Itzel, send it to Rick. There we go. Okay, money isn't real. Let me take a couple quick questions. If you want to come to my mastermind, I have an application. I put a little deposit fee. Why do I put a deposit? I used to do my mastermind application for free, but you get a whole bunch of people that are not realistically going to be able to come into the mastermind. I have a mastermind. It's mostly all millionaires. Some of them are a billionaire. I have a couple ballers that I bring sometimes that have net worths, let's say over 700 million. But it's mostly people that are worth 10 million to 100 million. And we come together monthly, and you can come to mine. We have an application process. You don't have to be worth 100 million bucks, but we have criteria. So I have a phone team that'll just call you back if you're interested. If you ain't interested, it's fine. I did this in 2015, 16, 17. It was a game changer. I would just had lunch with one of them I was in Utah. I've been on a trip all over the world right now and doing business deals. And anyway, it was a good one. And he said, Tai, what really, and this was a guy already making 10, 20 million dollars a year. He's like, your mastermind, business builder mastermind in 2017 is what really changed the game for him. So if you all want to apply to come, I'm going to put a link on every one of these platforms. What's just a general link we can put? Something like
It's tailopez.com/start.
Yeah, go to tailopez.com/start. If you cannot figure out how to type in this URL, you are not allowed in my mastermind, by the way. We should make one more complicated, like tailopez.com/onomatopoeia. If you don't know what onomatopoeia is, you ain't allowed to come to I need to put like a gating system where everybody who's annoying can't figure out how to get in because they can't figure out how to type in. Some people don't know how to type in URLs. It's pretty funny. They do not know how to type a URL. You gotta know how to type a URL in the modern world. Okay. What's up, Mark? Let me take some Q&A. I've been on here a long time. As an update, the 3 ways to build a millionaire mentor, how I did it, a network, and why it's important. It's simple why it's important. You pretty much level up to whoever you're around a lot. It's pretty simple. If you're around a whole bunch of lazy procrastinators, that will rub off on you like Ebola. But everyone talks about how COVID is contagious. It is contagious, but you know what else is contagious? Lack of self-control, lack of discipline, being out of shape, being lazy, not getting out of bed and acting on the things you know you should do. Poverty is contagious. It's a difficult one to get out of, I admit, but I'm just still telling you the truth. Mental illness is contagious in a certain sense. In a certain sense, it's not. But if you hang out with a whole bunch of psychos, you slowly become psycho. That edge to your personality comes out. You got to turn the camera on. If you are somebody who is anxious and all your friends are anxious and you all talk about your anxiety together, why are you doing that? Like, I don't even understand it. That's like if I want to get strong, I like call all my strong friends and go, you want to go to the gym together? I don't find my dweebiest, weakest friend and go, hey, will you go to the gym with me, please? so I can learn how to bench the bar like you? No, enough already. I told you, if you don't have mental and physical fortitude, which people don't have in this modern world, I told you, all we live in the world now is everybody's offended on words. Whatever, you know, my grandma used to tell me, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. That's how you should be. My grandma's old school. She was born in Berlin, Germany in 1918. Guess what we live in now? The exact opposite of that old school generation. Your great grandparents were way tougher than us, all of us, myself included, because they learned that words are just words. There are things you should fear, but not words isn't one of them. People are like, Tai, if you become big, all these people that follow me slowly become bigger influencers. I mean, some of them. And their first question to me is, Tai, how do you handle all the hate? I'm like, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words will never hurt you. I don't know anybody who's worth $100 million that isn't tough, ever. Doesn't mean they're tough on everything. Doesn't mean they're super virtuous people. I know people who are wealthy that aren't virtuous, although I think that's overrated. In general, to create wealth, you can't lie and cheat that much, because then everybody realizes that you are a liar and cheater and stops doing business with you. By the way, for all of you, beware of sheep in wolves' clothing and wolves in sheep clothing. A lot of you follow people on social media that you think are so virtuous of business people. Shit, I know behind the scenes. And also, I automatically distrust anybody that tells me how much they live their life for other people. Beware. People are like, Tai, I know people who really, do you give to charity? I'm like, well, it's not the people that show you're giving to charity, they're giving to charity, that actually give. If you have a PR team that tells everybody about your charity contributions, you probably ain't giving that much. In most of the great religions, Christianity, Islam, charity is something that you do without telling everybody about it. So when you're on social media and everybody's posting about how, well, virtuous I am, and I'm like, automatically those are the ones that aren't. I just like people who are raw. I'm like, don't start with the generic stuff with me. Don't tell me you're doing business for your great grandkids. What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, people do stuff for their kids, but just most people who make money also love money. That's just how it goes. And it's okay, you don't have to apologize. Just keep everything in the proper ratio. Don't love money more than family, for example. Families should be more important than love. That's just like every generation and every civilization has all lived by that tenet for the most part. Family's more important than money. Some of your family ain't worth nothing. Some of your family should be discarded and never talked to again, and that's okay. Nothing sacred per se about every person in your family. But if you're, deserting all of your family, you probably have a problem. Life's about balance. Wealth is about balance. My system is different than other people. There's a lot of people wealthier than me. But I don't know one wealthy person that I'd rather have their life. I like my life. I live a cool life. Say what you want about, even my haters are like, wow, this dude does live kind of a cool life, but fuck it, it's all a rented life. Shit, if my life is what a rented life is, I recommend each of you rent your whole life, because as far as I can tell, life is rented. Your next breath is rented. If you believe in God, you're renting it from God. If you're an atheist, you're renting it from this universe, and one day the rent will be due and it'll be over and the lease will be canceled and you'll end up in the earth 6 feet under, and it's okay. It's okay. But why do you want a millionaire social network? Because a lot of millionaires are interesting, although a lot of them are annoying. Filter all social circles. But you know what? Poor people can be annoying too. People think they're so brilliant, where they're like, well, Tai, money isn't everything. I know, and poverty isn't everything either. There's a flip side to everything. Having all the money in the world would be annoying. Having no money in the world really makes life annoying. you know? But balance is what you want. More money, more headaches. I'm living in a time of my life where I have less free time, but it's okay. It's a phase of my life. You know, I'm a CEO of Retail E-commerce Ventures. We own a lot of big companies. It's a pretty big holding company. It's a conglomerate. It's okay. You know, I can put in 18-hour days. I don't do 18 hours. I probably do 10 hours a day. I'm working more now than I don't even know why I'm working now, but I like the adventure. It's fun. See if I can turn around big legacy brands. Somebody said that candy looks delicious. This is a watermelon, my friend. I don't eat candy anymore. Bad ROI. Men, make sure you have a damn big belly. Let me tell you this little social tip. You need to have muscles without a belly. And if you accomplish those two things, man, I don't care what your face looks like, you'll have a pretty woman by your side. And you can't handle hearing that message. You've got two people to blame. One's God, because if God created humans, that's how human psychology works. Or if you're an atheist, you better really believe this, because Darwinian theory is very simple. Women or females, or those with internal gestation, congregate around those who, how can I say this politically correct? Those who bring, there's this theory of evolution called the sexy son theory. Women want to have kids with men who will give them sexy sons. You can Google it. It's a theory from Dr. David Buss from Harvard. The sexy son theory. Don't be blaming me. Muscles without a belly. And if you have muscles with a belly, is better if you're gay. Because in general, women don't like Mr. Olympia looking dudes who have huge muscles and a huge fucking stomach. But if you're gay, it's good. You could be a bear. Grow your back hair out and all that shit. You'll do great. In general, women want you to have that Ryan Gosling, that Brad Pitt V. But some of you dudes have a six-pack, but it's just because you're skinny. An anemic six-pack doesn't count either. Okay? Could be having no, you know, Gilligan Islands. I was on an island without food, and that's why I have a six-pack, kind of six-pack. Anyway, questions. Somebody said, I love this guy. I love you too. Not really. It's hard to love somebody. It's just on my Instagram. You know what, Ben Greenfield? There's an interesting book called Quench about hydration. If you just drink water, you don't get as hydrated as you think. So that's why my water, I use chia seeds. Chia seeds are what like the Aztecs and a lot of the Native Americans used, because it holds like 4 times its weight in water and then it slowly releases the water. That's why watermelon is a better way. All this Gatorade like finessed the world. It's like, drink my sugar water. And they got all these pro athletes. Oh shit, my phone died. I lost my damn, how did it die?
What else did it? The charger was to be dead.
Damn it. Well, fuck me. Thing didn't even show. How many hours do I sleep every day? I slept 10 hours last night. I, in general, need about 8.5 hours. I have this theory. All you that pride yourself on not sleeping that much, Albert Einstein said he needed 10 hours of sleep. He got a big brain. Takes a lot of glucose moving around in your synapse to kind of, you know, the brain. And so those of you who are like, I can get by on 6 hours of sleep, I'm like, shit. I mean, you must be dumb. You don't need rest? There must not be a lot floating around in here. There must be like 1 signal per day. Hungry, food, water. If you're moving ideas around in your head, you probably need to sleep. I know that's traumatic for people, but come on now. I like that people think they're above biology. Biology means nothing to me. I am Thanos. I am the overlord. No, you're not. Come on, man. Let's see. Let me read some of these questions. Arnold sleeps 6 hours. Not when he was young, though. Not when he was young. Go read about Arnold's youth. Yeah, Arnold at 75 is not moving the weights around. He can sleep 4 hours. Come on, 5 hours. Healthy people sleep a lot and they sleep deep. And for the most part, if you don't do those two things, that's nature's wake-up call to you're doing something fucking wrong. I like that people like kind of brag about their like dysfunction, like, yo, I can get by in like 4 hours of sleep. And I'm like, yeah, I see your body. You look like somebody and you think like somebody who's doing about 4 hours of sleep. Don't be bragging about that. Don't brag about the thing that's stupid about you. You know what I mean? That's what it's like, the world we live in now. It's like, I'm offended by don't be bragging about the fact that everybody easily offends you and you're some little, you know, weak-willed zombie. Keep that to yourself. Somebody said I can sleep 6 hours for 5 days, but my Saturday gonna be sleeping. Dude, you can't, then you ain't in great shape. Send me a picture. I don't believe you. You're either not smart or you're not in good shape, because I don't believe it. Is a lot of science, unless you're some kind of omnipresent, omniscient being, that Homo sapiens, which last I checked all of us were, need us in general 8 hours of sleep. But when you're old, you won't. So maybe you're, you know, old. Okay, did I come back to my own? Oops. Wait, I need to go back to my room. Did I lose my own room?
Yeah, I think you ended it.
No, my phone died, damn it. Well, let me go back on here with Clubhouse. Let me switch back. Rick, can you do this one again? You sleep 4 hours a day. Well, you ain't winning. That's great. Great. By the way, it's never interesting for people to tell you how they're not winning. People think it is. People want to use you as a therapist. You want to know how my life's bad? I'm like, no, it's not interesting. To lose at chess is not fascinating. I don't want to watch a guy lose at chess. I don't want to watch. Why would I want to watch? Or I don't want to watch an idiot play chess. Maybe a grandmaster I'll watch lose. But why are we obsessed with that in the modern world? Why do we want to talk? I understand. I get it. I'm not stupid. No, Tai, you learn more about your failures than your successes. Kinda. But you know what Richard Dawkins says in the book The Selfish Gene? Organisms that can simulate failure without experiencing themselves surpass organisms that can only learn through trial and error, because trial is costly and error is deadly. Stop. People just think they're so smart with their cheeseball, Instagram reel, inspirational shit. You don't want to learn by trial and error. That's what made Homo sapiens superior to Neanderthals. I'm going to start calling everybody who gives me that trite answer a Neanderthal. I can predict your future. It's called extinction, my friend. And you know who you will lose to? Those people who can simulate other people's mistakes without having to do them themselves. Only low IQ human beings need to step into the fire to learn you can be burned. Everybody else who has half a brain goes, fire inside, me no like, me friend fried. If you watch, it's enough. I can watch my old friend get fried in the bonfire and I ain't never doing it. It's not important. That's why I said this whole world is very obsessed with the concept of let me just talk about my mistakes. It's somewhat interesting, but not that interesting. I remember I did this talk with Grant Cardone, or he interviewed me in his car, Rolls Royce little interview, and it was like, Tai, what's the business you started that's failed? And I was like, I don't have one. And people in the comments were so pissed about that. I mean, I'll just lie. I have everything is all, I mean, why is that important? Yeah, I guess it's kind of inspirational. It's like the guy, you know, the guy who founded WeWork made $2 billion now. They're doing an IPO, he's gonna make $2 billion. Everybody hated on that guy, which maybe is rightfully so, but interestingly enough, I mean, people go, oh, this guy, his last business, he was making baby clothing with knee pads. And like, oh, blah, 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 like if it didn't do that well, it kind of failed. Well, that's not the interesting story about that guy. I want to know how the hell he finessed and turned the world into a world that would buy enough of his IPO that he's worth $2 billion. But again, it's not politically correct because it's there's more people who like to wallow in their sadness. So if you wallow in it with them, you instantly become a very interesting person to the world. But it's not interesting to me. You know? I'm like, I want to learn. I don't want to learn. It's like, I don't want to listen to all the bad piano players in the world. I want to listen to Bach. Is that weird? Does that make me an elitist? If that makes me an elitist, I'd like to be an elitist then. I don't want to listen to the bad singers. You know, I want to listen to people who can sing. So I think that at the end of the day, most of the problems in society are very self-imposed. And when it comes to making money, I promise you, as you look at your bank account, anytime in my life I've ever looked at my bank account and not liked it, it's been an 80-20 rule in effect, Pareto principle. It's been 80% my fault and 20% outside world. But it's not fun to talk about on Twitter, it's not fun for people to admit they're just stupid. And that's why their life looks stupid. And I've been stupid too, by the way. I'm not just saying, oh, Tai, everything I do is perfect. I'm just saying every stupid part of my life, almost all of it, was self-imposed or indirectly societally imposed by allowing me to wallow in my stupidity, you know? And besides that, I don't have a solution. Yeah, it is 80% your fault. There's some stuff that's not your fault. I mean, it's hard to control your genetics unless you believe in some reincarnation. That's how India dealt with being born and kind of, you know, with the genetic issues. They're like, oh, they're paying for reincarnation karma. I don't believe in that, to be clear. But what I believe in, have we ever pinned the comments here? Let me do this. I'm gonna post something, by the way, as I'm talking. I'm kind of doing Q&A. We don't have one specifically for Instagram, and if you want to apply to the
No. It's just one link is all it's in.
start, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna post, if you want to be in my mastermind, let me pin this real quick. I'm gonna pin it, okay. Can you pin it on these? You just type it in as me. Somebody said he needs the hot blonde. Are you talking about somebody you saw? I think you're talking about Kate. But Kate's not blonde. You get your hair cut. First rule of having a woman interested in you: do not confuse her hair color for another female's hair color. And do not call her another name. That one you may never recover from. Like, what's up, Susie? My name's Jenny. That was a game. You know how I learned in networking? I've been mostly talking about how to be good at social networking. Who here is an introvert / shy? Because we had a whole bunch of people try to convince me they're shy but not introverts, which is such a semantical, annoying conversation. I don't know why I even listen to it. I want you all to know, I'm a blonde with dark hair. See how that works? I'm a blonde with dark hair, everybody. You see? I can play that game too. Tai Lopez is a blonde with dark hair. I'm a shy introvert. I'm a shy extrovert. When you say you're a shy extrovert, you're about as smart as me saying I'm a blonde with dark hair. It's kind of oxymoronic. You see how that goes? I'm an introvert, but not shy. But most shy people are also introverts. Yeah. If you're not shy, you're probably more of an extrovert. Where people get confused is personality is on a spectrum. Let's say 1 to 100. Did you clear it? Rick, can I help? Or what's wrong? Did it not post? Or are you just reading them all?
No, it just took me that long.
Yeah, but it doesn't have. Oh, there it is. Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about extroverts, introverts, and how to create your own mastermind. I did it with house parties. If I was an introvert, I would do I'd have like a council of 12. I'd have my 12. Usually introverts have very small amount of friends, but really good friends. I'll have like 2 good friends. I'd have their 2 friends, my 2 good friends invite 3 friends apiece. Now you end up with, 6 to 10 people, depending on how many people show up. So that's a simple methodology. Who else has an idea on how you can be better at networking? Give me one. Someone said baldness is a sign of high IQ. I don't know. Albert Einstein wasn't bald, and neither was Stephen Hawking. So I don't know. It's not the world's best theory. And I don't think Dr. David Buss said that. But maybe there's like a teeny different. Yeah, those are the most annoying things to post. So I'm an extrovert in real life, but an introvert online. Yeah. I feel like the world we live in now, it's like impossible for anybody to just be anything, damn it. I'm like, look, if you're a nerd, just be a nerd. It's good. Just become a nerd with muscles, then you'll be good. If you're weird, good. Just realize that most weirdness is a negative mutation. But some weirdness is just people are too dumb to understand you. Oops. Oh. Film festivals, good. Great. Movie red carpets, good place to meet people. I went to Cannes Film Festival. A lot of interesting people there. Steven Spielberg. Meet all kinds of, I went to a dinner actually. Well, that's a cool story. Remember when I went to that dinner with Steven Spielberg? I went to a dinner. I don't know if you were there.
I was not. Exactly.
It's on my Instagram actually. You want to know the funniest story? I was pretty good with my phone, with social media, like going live, flipping it around. I shit you not, I have it on camera because no one will believe it. Steven Spielberg came up to me and was like, how are you so good with that camera phone? So now all my friends that spent their entire life going to film school, cinematography school, I'm like, Steven Spielberg asked me for camera advice. They get very annoyed when I say that. No, but I went to an event. It was cool. It was the AFI movie dinner. Like, some of you are gonna have to pay money to network, and I know people don't like to hear that. And if you're totally poor, that's why I told you, become a valet at a restaurant full of rich people. That works. It's not glamorous, but I didn't say I was gonna help you in a glamorous way. I'm telling you what actually works. That actually works. Be a valet at the country club or a restaurant where all the rich people in your city go. That works. But I know we live in a society now where everybody gets paid to not work, so that's not gonna work, but that's all right. When all your friends are getting a little stupid $2,000 stimulus check that's gonna run out soon, you'll be learning life skills and real skills. Watch how people walk, watch how they talk, watch their intonations, their expressions. That is a way to skyrocket your success. I have 36 mentors. I've got people that are Nobel Prize winners. I've got, Professor Eric Maskin won a Nobel Prize in economics. He's a Harvard professor. I talk to him quarterly. I've got he's a sir now. The Queen of England knighted him. Christopher Pissarides from Greece, he won a Nobel Prize in economics as well, different year. I pay them. I'm like, I don't even approach people like that and ask them to do it for free. And I haven't even gotten into that side of the conversation. If you're not paying for mentorship, you have 2 options. 1, you're either poor, which is valid, or 2, you're stingy, which is not valid. Because stingy people, when I say stingy, I mean in a way where you don't understand return on investment. So that's why I have a mastermind and I charge money for it. Because I'm like, do you want to be in a room full of people who can't drop any money to be there? I don't want to be in that room. That's why I like to go to movie premieres. I go to movie premieres because Academy Awards is hard to get into. and everybody there. So I went to the Academy Awards with Howard Hughes' last wife, or first wife. Howard Hughes is the billionaire, mad scientist. There was a movie about him. Wasn't that Leonardo DiCaprio played him?
Yeah.
Howard Hughes movie. Anyway, it was cool. I went with his ex-wife was like 90 years old, needed someone to take her to the Academy Awards. I was like, I'll take her. So she was my date. She was older, so she literally needed help like going up the stairs. So I went with her, and I learned a lot. I asked her, I said, what was Howard Hughes like? Was he like, is it all hype? And she goes, Howard Hughes was so smart, it was like he wasn't even from planet Earth. She said, like, this guy would talk and people would just be like, huh? She said he was too smart for the Earth. That's why he became kind of a recluse, And a lot, by the way, I've found a lot of the best mentors I have. Like, I have a mentor in psychology, and he's actually an evolutionary biologist. He's considered the father of modern biology. His name's Robert Trivers, and he was a famous Harvard professor, but he retired. And he's like, it's almost impossible to talk to him because he moved to Jamaica, and he lives in a house with no internet, so he has to go to the hotel to Zoom with me next door. He has to like walk a mile, and he's almost 80 years old. But I find these people and bring them out of like their recluse shell, and that is a powerful way. Some of you, there's a millionaire living on your street that you should go like say, I'll mow your grass. How'd you get this house? People don't want to hear that message. We're too proud now, so it's like, you don't know who I am? I'm like, bitch, I don't know who you are. By the way, if you ever go to a nightclub and you have to say, do you know who I am? This is a bad sign. I've never in my life have I said that. I've resisted the urge, because some of you will become kind of famous and you'll want to say it once or twice, but never make that statement, because the statement fulfills the answer. If you go to a club and the bouncer won't let you in, so you say, do you know who I am? He's like, dude, I already didn't let you in, so obviously don't know who you are. So for those of you who are like, no, Tai, my mommy says I'm good enough and special enough and I'll be rich enough because I believe in the power of positive thinking. Well, okay, it's great to believe in power of positive thinking, but people who couple thinking with action get it a lot quicker. Maybe you'll be rich at 900 years old, but if you look at the trajectory of most people's income, they're going to be wealthy at about 140. That's the main problem with planet Earth. The average person's wealth trajectory is approximately 100 years of adult life. If you just look at how they compound money, but you don't have 100 years. That's what's tough about this world. That's why the Greek philosophers said art is long and life is short. The art of life and learning it is your whole life. So you're gonna be, you need, if you do not have shortcuts, you're gonna have a tough life. That's all I can tell you. If you do not have shortcuts working for you, you will run out of days on this earth. And you'll say, Tai, I know the problem. The problem is capitalism. That's it. It just didn't give me my fair shake. Okay, let's run with that. Let's say you're right. What do you want? Do you want Aristotelian, Socrates' version of oligarchy? That's what some of the great thinkers of all time said. You don't want democracy, you want oligarchy. You want a wise set of, old people running the world. Okay, you think that'll be better? That's effectively what the United States is anyway. A whole bunch of rich people who can afford lobbyists. So you got to have that in America. No, Tai, I want, pure democracy. Well, or pure capitalism. Some capitalists are like, no, the solution is pure capitalism. Well, that's kind of what China is. Although, pure capitalism, when we say, that's what some of the Afghanistan, in a sense, was. Economically, people are just bartering on, and there's no regulation if you're a libertarian. Obviously, this is a complicated conversation. If you want control economies, you had the USSR. You have lesser versions of it in Scandinavia, which work pretty well, but even there you have people who don't like their life. Lots of people. I live in Stockholm, Copenhagen. I was just there for the last 4 months. So, once again, humans, you will never concoct an economic system that actually works. Somebody said, China's pure capitalism, dude. What? Ha ha ha. I know it sounds weird for you to understand this, and I know you think you're smart, but China has many aspects of capitalism. Ooh, that phone just died. That America didn't have. Now, it's a complicated conversation because it's part command control economy at the same time. It's part, that was Facebook. It's also part pure capitalism. That's why they just dump all their chemicals in the Yangtze River and destroy the whole environment. Because China has, in that sense, they used to be, they're changing. In another sense, they just outlawing Bitcoin, for example.
Is there a time limit on
I don't know, Facebook always dies out, just explodes after a certain time. China has limited capitalism. Yeah, I'm saying there are aspects of China that's more pure capitalism and aspects where the United States. America's not really a pure capitalistic state. It's some social democracy permutation, just like Stockholm, Sweden, or Finland. It's going to be hard. Not many people. Pure capitalism was more like 1800s America. The problem with pure capitalism is you had a tremendous amount of economic volatility. There was a recession right after America was formed, 1776. Within the next couple of years, America in the 1800s went into recession every 4 or 5 years. So with no regulated, American income tax in the 1800s was effectively zero. So you had America of the 1800s purely capitalist, but you had problems. From I think 1873 to 1875, hunters destroyed all the buffalo. You had millions of years of this buffalo herd that evolved with the ecology of the United States and the Midwest that produced the most fertile soil in the world, all wiped out by a whole bunch of buffalo hunters with rapid repeating rifles. So you have problems not only with volatility in the 1800s. I know people don't like the Federal Reserve, which was introduced there was recessions late 1800s, I think it was 1909 or 1913. There was a big recession which kind of ushered in, it was a bunch of billionaires that bailed the United States out. See if it's okay if it's too late. Is it posted though to my feed? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
I started.
it's complicated as to what economic system you really. Oh no, you don't do another one.
Oh,
No, I never started again.
okay.
It's just sometimes the old one is connected. We want to delete this one. I just want to see if the old one auto posts. Facebook is the buggiest app. I'm like, Mark Zuckerberg, if you hadn't bought Instagram, buddy, you would not be wealthy anymore. Facebook has got to be the biggest piece of shit app I've ever seen. Turned into some Frankenstein company, Somebody said the elimination of the gold standard is what created the Fed. I know you think you're smart, but actually read the complex. What happened is, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, you have robber barons, the J.P. Morgans, Carnegies, Rockefellers. Back then, the Warburgs were still powerful. And at one point in the early 1900s, there was a big crash, and billionaires had to come in and bail it out. The U.S. government had to come to billionaires like the J.P. Morgans, say, bail us out. At that point, the government and the bureaucrats said, we don't want to have to ask individuals to bail us out. And so that's when you begin to see the introduction of the Federal Reserve, the bank system, and so on. But it was implemented not overnight in terms of how we see it now. And so now you have American economy, very complex. It's not just the Federal Reserve. There's things outside the Federal Reserve's hands. You can see those now when it comes to, because now you have, the real thing that changed the world is that, and there's a famous book on this by Friedman, how the world is flat. The second the world became flat, which means you could do business anywhere in the world, it threw off a lot of you can see that with crypto. Now crypto is borderless, it's very powerful and very effective because governments have a hard time controlling it. You see this with repatriation of money into Nigeria and the Philippines right now. Back then you had to go through a bank system. Forget the Central Reserve. I'm not even talking about the Federal Reserve. I'm talking about you had to go through like a bank, like Bank of America, Monday through Friday. 9 to 5 and wire the money. And so there's a bigger disruption coming. But that disruption started, what really started it, people understand, in the late 1800s, Rockefeller eventually became the richest man in American history. And a big part of it was Standard Oil created interstate business. In the past, it was very hard in the 1800s to do business. He was based in Ohio. It was hard to do interstate companies, which is wild because now if I form an LLC in Delaware, I can do business in Nigeria and the money flows and the legalities of it flow. I own companies all around the world. And so back in the 1800s, you didn't even have interstate. If you were in Ohio, you couldn't even do business in, Missouri. So don't oversimplify what's happened. A lot of people, and I love crypto. I told people to buy crypto starting in August 2017 when it was $3,000. Bitcoin was $3, ETH was in the 200s. So I'm all for it, but don't oversimplify. The rise of the Federal Reserve has not been completely disastrous or moving off the gold standard. If you look at actual statistics, when's the last time there was a big recession in the United States? Who knows the answer to this? 1929. Shit, there hasn't been shit since 1929. Yeah, there's been little doozy things. 2008 was nothing. Stagflation of the 1970s. S&L crisis of the 1980s. These were pedantic. 1929, people were starving to death. So I'm not sure. I think crypto is a better permutation of central government, but crypto has problems too. You will have a lot of issues. It stops things. First off, you'll have the ease of movement for money that's just pure illegal money. It'll be easier for the Pablo Escobars of the world. They can bid on an NFT in Russia. Be like, I'll pay 50 million for your shitty, drawing. And yeah, it's just an NFT and I'll move my 50 million bucks right across from Colombia straight into Moscow. So I'm pro NFT to be clear. But I'm just telling you, the realities is wherever you find people, you will find complexity. And you will never solve this problem. There is nothing you will do unless you change the gene pool. Did Speakeasy stop? There's nothing you'll do. If you really want to change the world, figure out how to change the gene pool. That's the future. It'll be genetic engineering. That's where the world will end up. Who wants to bet me money? Before we end up, a better solution to going to Mars in the short term, over the next 100 years, is to be able to work on DNA and remove psychopath, the set of genes that create psychopathy, high levels of anxiety, depression, the Machiavellian traits, the high narcissistic traits, the acquisitive traits in humans. But the problem with doing that is you throw off the entire evolutionary track. Evolution doesn't care whether we're happy, and so the world is a complicated conversation. A lot of, like I said, people try to oversimplify, and, but the world's complicated, man. And anyway, somebody said, Tai, you said 120 is IQ, average IQ. No, 100 is average on standard deviation, 100. I said 120 is just like sharp. Most of you are 120. Yes, when it's all said and done, you can operate, it's realistic to operate at that level. That's why I said most millionaires, or at least the median IQ of millionaires, is not that high. The most intelligent people do other stuff. They become astrophysicists and things like that. Thoughts on vaccination? Well, vaccination is not that simple of a conversation, Vaccination is, I know people are sure they have the answers both ways, but one of my mentors told me, Professor Baumeister, he said when two sets of people, large groups of smart people, totally disagree, it means they're both right. That's pretty profound, by the way. That's pretty profound. When there's a group of people that say crypto is the future and a group of people who say that crypto is a scam, both of them are right. Meaning that the concept of crypto is not a scam, it's the future, but within it, there's a lot of BS. And anybody who knows anything about crypto knows that that's true. There's huge projects that raise billions of dollars and never built anything, and who knows where all that money went. So with vaccines, it's like there's two huge schools of thought in the United States, smart people on both sides. One is like, what's wrong with you? Doctors say vaccination is no problem. And then you have other smart people that are like, no, the answers are probably both right. Meaning, a lot of people should be vaccinated, but not necessarily as much or in the ways it's being done. Things like that. I don't have the answers. I mean, I'm just a human, but in general, that's such a good mental framework of wealth creation and understanding this world. It's just like literally understanding that two competing ideas can be accurate at the same time. Like that is so hard for humans to really, cope with. And you better be able to, if you want to create wealth, you better be able to deal with these conflicting concepts, hold on. Okay. What's your opinion on commercialized space travel? Somebody said, I think we're watching the evolution of Tai. What am I evolving into? I feel like I've been kind of like this for a long time. Have I evolved? So why does shy extroverted not work? It's just, if you're super shy, you're not an extrovert. I know that's mind-blowing. Although, like I said, I'm just gonna start walking around and be like, I'm a blonde with dark hair. Works, right, Rick?
Yeah.
I'm blonde with dark hair. I'm Swedish. I'm a Latin Swedish guy, see? I just change everything around. What's your really difference between regular growth? Okay, who has some business questions? What are you trying to avoid or not? I think about Cardano. Somebody thinks I have hair extensions. I like that one. I have hair extensions. I'll tell you what though, if I was bald, I would get those hair implants. I don't know why people think that shit's weird. Shit, there's nothing wrong with covering up stuff you don't like. Women get boob jobs, it's fine, who cares? Does that look like hair extensions? Does that look like hair extensions? Somebody just bought 5 acres of desert land. What do you do with it? You better hope there's gold or oil under there. What books am I reading right now? I'm reading that book of Monopoly, on active monopolies in the world, how platform businesses pretty much run the world now. Jeff Bezos is bald. I don't know why. I think Jeff Bezos is just embarrassed to get hair because then it was like everybody was like, oh. I would definitely. LeBron James did that right. He started to bald. He put that stuff. I don't know where he got the hair. Maybe from his back or the back of his head, off his butt. He put that shit right back on. I was like, that's the correct response.
Yeah.
But some people aren't traumatized by not having hair, like Jason Statham. But most dudes, a woman I know told me, Tai, men are concerned about 2 things: penis and hair. They're like, I don't want my hair to leave, and I don't want my penis to stop working. I was thinking about, I was like, that's pretty profound right there. Men are very binary, or very simple machines. Men are very simple machines. How do you help a business grow? Well, depends on the business. Give me more specific. What's a good amount of capital to start a healthy business? Do what I've been telling people since 2016. Start an agency business. Yeah. When you don't have any money, and provide services to business owners. Build their website, do their e-com, do their Shopify, do their Brahms. Soon I've got a software competitor, Shopify, coming out called Brahms. Do their social media marketing, do their Facebook ads, do their social media ads. Tai, What's the future of technology? What's the future of the metaverse? Yeah, I mean, the metaverse will get big. People are going to retreat into delusional fantasy. I mean, whatever. I like life. I think life can be cool. I don't need to have a virtual universe. I like the actual universe, is minus annoying people. All you gotta do is get rid of the annoying people and life's great. This world's great. Minus, you know, you have cataclysms and things like that that are not great. But minus annoying people, this world's a great place to be. It's just people struggle with understanding it because they're not committed to learning. And if you're not a learning machine, you'll struggle with wealth for the rest of your life. It's like Charlie Munger says. He says, I know of no wealthy, successful people that aren't wise. And it doesn't mean they're wise in all areas of life, but wealthy around making money, wise around making money, you know? Someone said, please never cut your hair. It's funny. Also, I'll give you a little bonus tip for today. Always take advice from your target market, okay? You know why guys have shitty style? Because they rely on the feedback from their buddies who also have shitty style. If you're, what do they call it, cis? I guess straight male. If you're a straight male, then your target market is women. Only ask your female friends who are of similar mind of the women you'd like to date what your hair should look like. All you dudes that grow these weird mustaches and facial hair, did you run that shit by your target market? I don't think so. I'm like, I can see that face. That face was not run by the target market. I see your outfit. That outfit was not run by your target market. It was run by a market, the market for your male friends. So if you're bi or gay, you are doing it right. But in general, you know, women tend to like hair if you have it, you know. I know that's shocking, but if you have, you know what is basically, whatever you have genetically, you should showcase that. So if you naturally have good hair, grow it out. If you, you know, whatever is your thing, show it. Women seem to understand this. You see a woman who has a good butt, every fucking thing of her, everything flows down to the butt. Her Instagram is butt. His pose is wham, wham. All these women are like, you want to see I'm teaching fitness? I'm like, I don't know that anybody's watching this for fitness. No one's watching your stiff leg deadlift. They don't want to see it, you know, in an angle from here. You're sticking that camera right there. Do I believe sexuality is a subconscious belief? Subconscious, maybe. I mean, for sure. Look, here's the reality. If you study history, Native Americans had men and women who were transsexual, bisexual, and gay. Monkeys have it, chimpanzees, multiple mammals have it. So that's kind of a historical fact. Native American. I was reading a book about Oatman. It was a woman. Her last name was Oatman. As a 9-year-old child, she was captured by the Native Americans, and she lived with the Mojave Indians on the border of California and Arizona. And they had like guys who were like in between male and female. They had, you know. So I mean, that's Thailand. You see that, but I think most people at some point of our ancestors had sex with the other sex in general, or else evolution would have wiped out the genes completely. So, I mean, that seems to have happened, but it's not look, there are people who devote their lives to sexology and sex, you know, studying sex. My mentor, Dr. Buss, has studied mating. He's got a PhD in mating, and so I think we make too much, you know, right-wing people are too like anti-gay and shit. Who cares? It's like, fuck, it's like all the things. Look, I run a pretty big company with a lot of employees. I'm like, I never in my life do I care. So I don't think, you know, right-wing people think if you allow gay people, it'll ruin society. That's not the ruin of society. But leftist extremes are also fucking wacko for sure, in not a good way. You know, so I'm like, the real answer to everything is balance. You know, I saw an article in the New Yorker today, which is much more leftist, and they were saying a lot of these doctors that are prescribing stuff are regretting it now because it's causing irreversible. I mean, it's a complicated thing, but in general, when you don't know what to do in life, choose the middle ground and you'll be good. That is the real best way to live. You know, people are like, how much money should I make in life? I'm like, what's the middle ground? You know, do that and you'll be happy. So let's say the middle ground is you now make 50 grand a year and you feel miserable, but you wish you were like, you know, making $10 million a year. Well, you know, it's hard to make 10 million and it might be miserable with the amount of bills you have to make 50. So what's kind of a happy medium? I don't mean actually in the middle between 50,000 and 10 million. I'm just saying what moves, for the most people, if you can start making six figures, it changes your life. And if you live in another country that has a different economic system, you might not even need to make a couple 100,000, you know? So in America, people tend to get happier when they're making about 100 grand a year. And it goes up slightly. The marginal reaction is big between like making 40 grand and making 90 grand, for example. Daniel Kahneman won a Nobel Prize talking about this. So, you know, I think that when I was starting out, I just tried to figure out how to make, I remember I was making about 8 grand a month. And I was like, I really felt my life change when I went from like making zero, obviously. It took me about 9 months. And I learned to make 8 grand a month. And that was a game changer. I could travel. I didn't feel so stressed. I didn't have a baller house or car, but I had like my own apartment. I actually had a roommate, but it was a dude that surfed all the time, Brian. So I never saw him because he was already wake up like 3 in the morning, go drive to the Outer Banks to surf or somewhere in North Carolina. And I was like, owned a nightclub. So I'd get home and I would sometimes be coming home at 4 in the morning. He'd be waking up. We'd cross paths. So that was really when my life started to change, and I figured out how to make more than $100,000 a year, but I'm not necessarily sure. I mean, my life in some ways is better now, but sometimes I look back at that time when I was just making a couple 100 grand a year, and I'm like, that was pretty good. A lot of you can just stop there. You know, it's more money, more headaches. You have to really like the game to try to want to make millions a year. I mean, between 100,000 and $1 million a year is an amazing spot to stop, really. Now, you won't be the biggest baller in the room, but you have time to do other stuff, to surf, you know, to have a social life. You have time for your family. So I think of myself, like I was reading a book. A lot of people ask me, Tai, why do you keep doing stuff and getting bigger? And I think of myself like, when you read about Native Americans, you had like people who like to go on war raids more often. Sioux Indians, Apache. There was people who liked to go to war, and I guess I'm one of those. And modern day, we don't go to war. Business is war. I guess I like it. Maybe I'm addicted to the game, you know? And some people just go to war once and win, and they go back and they just chill in their village. That's a good plan. That's a great plan. I don't look down at those and say I'm a greater warrior. I would say maybe I'm a more active warrior than most people, you know. But you can be active in lots of stuff. Somebody says it's all about leaving a legacy. Yeah, I don't know that. I think that when people say they're all about leaving a legacy, I never quite believe them. You know, I don't. That line of thought always seems disingenuous. Most people who are making money are doing it for their own gain. They're not just doing it for their great grandkids. First off, as you go down in your descendants, they become less related to you. So you're not that related to your great great grandkids. You wouldn't even be able to remember all their names. If you have 4 kids and each of them have 4 kids, by the time you become, it goes to the great great grandfather generation, you won't even remember your grandkids and your great grandkids' names. Humans do things for the kin group, it's called. We are tribal, but I think doing it for legacy is kind of a lie. I would say it's more accurate to say you're doing it for your kin group. If you really want to be scientific, that's the truth. humans in general don't live for their full-on legacy. It's not psychological. It's not provable. It's not statistically correct. If anything, the opposite is true. But you will die for your friends, and you will die for people within maybe 1, maybe 2 generations for you. But you generally won't die for 3, 4 generations because you become like 4% related to them, you know? So, yeah, people have to understand science and math a little bit more to understand. And sometimes you'll die more for, cool thing about Native Americans is they had kin groups that they weren't blood related to. So they would adopt, if their warrior friend died in battle, they would adopt their children and treat them just like their own, you know? So I think that humans are very versatile, man. Sorry, I'm stretching. They're super versatile, especially around their existing kin group. But I don't know, I'm very suspicious of all the people who tell me how they're living, they're focused on their legacy. I just don't believe them. An Amish guy once told me they're very polite. He goes, if you don't mind, I don't believe you. That's what I want to say to a lot of people. I'm like, but it's a great line that you say, and it makes you look virtuous on social media. Now that I believe. If I want to look virtuous, I should probably say that shit more. I should become a virtue signaler and go, oh, see all this? See all, you know what I'm doing this for? So my great grandchildren will never have to work again. Why do you want your great grandchildren to not worry again? Work, that's stupid. Shit, I want my great grandkids to work. Why do I want money for them? Most people become fucktards the more generations you go. What's so amazingly virtuous? That's actually not virtuous. What's the point? I told you, we live in virtue signal planet Earth. Look at me. It's kind of like actors. I'm like, bro, you're a fucking actor. You don't contribute to Earth. I mean, you contribute art, but I mean, you're an actor in a movie. Don't be talking about how you're here. I don't care about your save the world. I'd rather hear from, you know, a volunteer who lives in an AIDS orphanage in Africa. That's a more virtuous person than a damn A-list actor, but you know. Oh, Tai, listen to me, like, blah, blah. You gotta learn to blah, blah more, or else you're gonna get tricked in this whole world, man. Movies are art. Yeah, it's art. Yeah, I'm sure. All of the damn formula movies are so great of art. Yeah, a lot of movies are shitty art, but you are right, they are art. So is this words I put here. That's art too, right? Anything that we just slap up is art. Most movies, let's be real. The movies they're putting out now are not great art. Once in a while they are. Go watch the movie Wind River. Wind River, that's real art. Who's seen Wind River? Man, that's a good movie. That does everything that art should do, which is evoke emotion. Great art evokes emotion. That's really what art is to me. Art is rooted in the emotional response. Great music moves you, you know? A great business can be art. Like an Apple iPhone sometimes is like, ooh, this thing is beautiful. It does stuff, it makes you feel, if you don't have your phone with you, you feel weird. It's almost an emotional addiction. You know, we become androids. Somebody said, now I see why they got the samurai vibe from it. All right, I'm gonna get off here. I am going to put the link here. Let me read the name of people that have been getting in, applying for the mastermind. Sorry, I did not focus on this today. I did not do a good job selling. Mirza Muslimevich in Fontana, California, applied to be in my mastermind. Joseph Simcoe from Naples, Florida. So tailopez.com/start. I have a mastermind. We're meeting we meet monthly. You should come to the one coming up. We do advanced investing stuff I'm not going to talk about here, mostly because nobody will know what the hell I'm talking about. If we start talking about SPACs and RTOs and some of it just like 5% of this group follows along. So I just kind of talk about life on these. But if you want to come to a very specific We have 1 and 2 day mastermind. I'm doing it in Miami. I'm gonna put this link, tailopez.com/start. When I hang up this call, go there, apply. We do a deposit. If you pay the deposit and it's not a good fit for you, we just refund it all. If it is a good fit, then the deposit goes towards the cost of the mastermind. Okay? People in the mastermind, most all of them are millionaires. There's probably some people a few times that get let in. The power of that mastermind network will change your life, not only for today or the day you're there, but it's something that can last forever, in the sense that friendships and powerful allies, people who make allies win in this world. And we don't talk enough about that because we're too busy telling others how virtuous we are or not virtuous, Focus on the substance and essence of this life. And one thing that's very scientific is people who have allies win. Okay? Somebody said, Tai, stop lying. You worship Satan. I love social media. Yes, somebody said everyone needs to pray at 3:33 a.m. Okay. Why 3? What happened with, are you only going to pray for that exact minute? Do you stop the prayer at 3:34? By the way, all of you, one thing that society does to distract you is focus a lot on conspiracy theories. Look, probably Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. I agree. But if you spend more than 1 minute per year thinking about all the conspiracies that are happening, I can predict your financial future. Pain, no money. When you're actually doing stuff, you ain't gonna have any time. You're not gonna have time for that. Who cares if Jeffrey Epstein killed? This is what I think about it. Does it affect me and my family, my present or future family? No, then I don't care. Does it affect people that I love and my friends and my tribe? Then it ain't relevant. So I just noticed it's a really common distraction. Here's my conspiracy theory for all you conspiracy theorists, that you have been tricked by a group of Illuminati dudes. Maybe I'm one of them. And I plant conspiracy theories so that you all think about that all the time and never build a business to compete with mine. See how that conspiracy theory goes? You are the suckers in that conspiracy theory. See, because conspiracy theorists in general think they're smarter than society. See, Tai, I know what happened at 9/11. It was fucking George Bush. See how smart I am? Me. You believe that, terrorists flew into it. Me. Look how smart I am. Me. And you believe this? There's no aliens? Me. I'm smarter. See, the US government was high. Me. But I got a theory that's more me. I got one on top of you. I'm distracting your ass by you fighting about this, and I'm trying to make money up here. And I don't want anybody up here, because more competition is less profit margin. So all you that are like, me, you're still dumb. You may be smarter than the dumb people that think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. You may be more enlightened than them, but you ain't. You want to be up here. You want to be up here. So if you think Bill Gates or the right wing or the left wing, somebody or China planted COVID, you might be right. And you may be smarter than the people who are here. But you know who's smarter than you? Elon Musk made about $100 billion while everybody was fighting out here. He don't want you to form a competitor in Tesla, and great. It's like he's like, let all the sheep argue about who's the bigger sheep. To him, everybody's going bah. Just some people are a little louder. So whenever you think you're not a sheep, you are a sheep. Just so you know. Whenever you think you know how the game works, you're just part of a more clever game that you haven't yet discovered. So you got to stop with that conspiracy stuff. I can tell you a great conspiracy that's actually happening. The one conspiracy theory that I'm pretty true. Somebody said that was a complete mindfuck. Good. There's levels to thinking. And people who are into conspiracy theories, to me, are never that smart, because conspiracy theories or irrelevant because I was like, bro, your life sucked before COVID. It sucked during, and it will suck after. So what are you talking about? Wuhan didn't change you. There was nothing good going on before. 9/11 wasn't, I mean, people say George Bush did this so we would attack Iraq, so the Bush family could get oil. Oh, I mean, it's possible. But I was poor before 9/11 and a little bit poor after. It didn't seem to do anything. So I'm like, I wasn't tricked by that conspiracy theory. It's a no op. Stop. Focus on the things that you could do today. What could you do today? I talked about it. Step number 1. Take a shotgun approach to networking. Golf courses. Going to be a valet at a fancy restaurant where rich people go. Do it for a week. Meet 3 rich people. Learn how to do the approaching in a social, persuasive way. How can you approach somebody when you're poor and they're rich? There's ways to do it. I talked about the lazy way, and I talked about the deflection way. Number 3, start your own mastermind at your own house. Invite smart people and say, yo, let's talk about business. None of us know what we're talking about, but eventually one person will show up who knows what they're talking about, and that will be contagious and get to the next group, and to the 3rd group, and the 4th group. 7, they have like these circles of separation you are from people. You're not that many degrees of separation from the person who's going to change your life. Right now, there's someone walking around on this earth that has the keys inside their brain, and it's not you. The answers are not all within. If their answers were all within, then to learn a foreign language, I could just go inwardly and not learn from anybody who already speaks Chinese. But sadly, if I want to learn Chinese, there's an inevitable way I have to learn Chinese through someone who already speaks it. And if you don't speak the language of money, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go inward. You'll have to go outward. And as you go outward, more answers are outward than inward. Unfortunately. Maybe it's fortunate. Maybe the grand conspiracy is we're supposed to be social creatures. There's a good book on this by Matt Lieberman called Social. He's one of the top scientists who studies the social sides of our brain. Maybe that's where you find God, or enlightenment, or money. Most religions are community-based, not individual-based. And that same approach is where wealth and reward comes from. It's not individual-based. It's not by being a hermit. As fun as that would be in a certain sense, because you wouldn't have annoying people, it's better to just filter your social circle, So, with that said, I'll see some of you at my next mastermind. Apply here, tailopez.com/start. And we talked all about a lot of stuff. This was a wild talk here, Rick.
It was.
Longer than I thought. It's went 3 hours.
Yes.
Sheesh. All right.
All times.
I'm gonna hang up. Oi. Okay, let me do this one first. Instagram is very particular how you do it. I'm gonna download it and I'm gonna share it.
I would mess it up, so it's better.
Boom. Can you put the title and then press post? You don't need to add to a series. Okay. YouTube. Goodbye.